I'm cultivating immortality with the science of mortals. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 26. Don't bother with the dead. This lot is called Kingning Mirror. Although it is not a top grade magic weapon, it has magical functions. Let me demonstrate it to you. Kingning Mirror? Luo Hong, who was discussing the magical functions of the Jade Dragon Good with Liu Jing, suddenly noticed that the name of the new lot sounded familiar. He looked up and saw a kind looking old man offering a magic weapon that looked like a small mirror. The green light it emitted fixed a top grade magic weapon flying sword in midair. Everyone immediately cried out in surprise. Liu Jing stared at the flying sword spinning in the air for a long time, then shook his head and said, "This magic weapon is quite strange. The consciousness and magic power of the person who drives it can obviously pass through the green light and fall on the flying sword, but the flying sword just keeps spinning in place. I really don't understand. But the range of the green light is not large, and it seems that it cannot be easily moved once it is sacrificed. If it can't control the opponent's key magic weapon at once, it is actually not very useful." Luo Hong followed Liu Jing's words and made some comments. Both of them thought that this Kingling Mirror was only suitable for dealing with immortal cultivators who didn't know their background. In addition, after watching the demonstration of the Kingling Mirror's ability, Luo Hong immediately recalled its owner in the original Mortal book, and then thought of the crystal ball that the mean female cultivator always kept in her hand, and almost confirmed that the mean female cultivator was the Duobao girl who was stabbed in the back and died in the blood-forbidden land. As expected, the Kingling Mirror aroused the interest of the mean female cultivator as soon as it appeared, and she began to bid repeatedly. "Nephew Luo, that female cultivator insulted our Huangfeng Valley first. Why don't you come and compete with her for it again, so that she won't get this magic weapon too easily?" Liu Jing is not the type of person who doesn't fight back after being beaten. On the contrary, he likes to return tenfold, and those evil cultivators who died tragically in his hands have the most say in this. Of course, he also plans to waste the spiritual stones of the Yanyu sect, so that there will be fewer competitors when the pill auction starts later. No need, Uncle Liu. The ancestor will not like the junior to do this. The mean female cultivator is Duobao Nu. She doesn't have many years to live. Luo Hong doesn't need to bother with a dead person, and the resentment in his heart has been completely dissipated when he learned the identity of the opponent. Moreover, Li Huoyuan clearly told them not to use his name indiscriminately that day. With the stingy character of this ancestor, Luo Hong felt that it would be better not to knowingly commit a crime, especially on the sensitive issue of Yanyu sect. "Well, you're right. I'm obsessed." Liu Jing's expression froze, as if he recalled the scene when he was scolded by Li Huoyuan. He shuddered slightly and held up the teacup to cover up. In the end, even without Luo Hong's revenge, Duobao girl spent a full 700 spirit stones, which was more expensive than the 2 top grade magic tools of the fine quality level. Obviously, the bidders believed that the magical ability of the Kingling Mirror was a killer move that could defeat the enemy at a critical moment, so they spared no expense. As for Luo Hong, compared with the magical performance of the green light, he was more interested in the spiritual materials for refining the Kingling Mirror. Others may not be able to see through the green light, but Luo Hong has guessed its principle. The cultivators rely on mana and consciousness to drive the magic tools. The relationship between the two is a bit like the engine and steering wheel of a car. By increasing or decreasing the output of mana, the power of the magic tool can be controlled. But if it is only driven by mana, the magic tool will only fly straight back and forth, lacking changes. Only by attaching spiritual consciousness to the magic weapon can it be driven like an arm and very agile. Since the driver of the flying sword magic weapon did not notice that his spiritual consciousness and mana were blocked, and increasing the mana output of the flying sword would obviously increase its power, it must be that the flying sword magic weapon made a mistake when receiving the spiritual consciousness sent by the driver. The green light tampered with the spiritual consciousness of the flying sword driver, making the flying sword mistakenly believe that the master's order was to spin in place. If I get this mirror, it should be very helpful for studying spiritual consciousness, but forget it. I don't have any extra energy at the moment. The role of pointing the way for myself yesterday was reflected at this time. As soon as Luo Hong had the idea of starting a new topic, he quickly extinguished it, and then he gathered his mind and paid attention to the new auction items. After the Kingling mirror, there were no more magic weapons that made people shine. Just when the atmosphere in the venue was gradually dull, the kind-looking old man suddenly took out a jade bottle and poured out a milky white pill with spiritual light flowing on the surface. Key gathering pill. A Foundation establishment cultivator exclaimed in surprise, and then the hot breathing of cultivators could be heard everywhere. That's right, it's the key gathering pill. I don't need to introduce this thing. There is only one bottle of this kind in this transaction. There are 5 pills in the bottle. It is sold at one time. The starting price is, I offer 600 spirit stones. Before the kind-looking old man could bid the starting price, a Foundation establishment cultivator couldn't help but bid a high price. 700 spirit stones. 750. This key gathering pill is a pill used by Foundation establishment cultivators to increase their cultivation. It is rare to see even one pill at ordinary times. Now 5 pills are placed in front of a group of Foundation establishment cultivators. How can they stay calm amid the constant bidding? The price of this bottle of key gathering pill quickly exceeded 800 spirit stones, and it continued to rise, but the increase was not as large as at the beginning. Obviously, most of the poor Foundation establishment cultivators have been eliminated. Master Luo, how much do you think this bottle of medicine is worth? Liu Jing clenched his fists nervously. Although he had already made up his mind, he couldn't help but hesitate when he really had to spend nearly 1,000 spirit stones. What he needed was not Luo Hong's advice, but a grit of teeth and a stamp of feet. As early as the moment he saw the key gathering pill, Luo Hong used his special ability, medicinal power. 600. It is worthy of being a pill taken by immortal cultivators in the Foundation building stage. One pill is equivalent to 100 Huanglang pills. If the price is based only on the medicinal power, a Huanglang pill is only worth about 1 spirit stone, and this key gathering pill can be priced at 100 spirit stones. However, things are rare and valuable. Luo Hong believes that the actual price of this bottle of key gathering pill is 500 spirit stones, but even if it is sold for 1000 spirit stones, there will be people who want it, considering its role in helping to break through the bottleneck in the Foundation building stage. Master Liu, in my humble opinion, feel free to sell it for less than 1,200 spirit stones. It was only a matter of time before Liu Jing made a bid. Luo Hong was just giving him some confidence. Haha, nephew, you are so generous. It's me, your uncle, who seems stingy. Everyone, Liu Jing, offer 1,100 spiritual stones. As soon as this price was announced, the lively venue suddenly fell silent. Even the veiled female cultivator from the moon shading sect frowned. She had just made several bids in a row. Originally, the price of this bottle of key gathering pill was still hovering below 1,000 yuan, but Liu Jing raised it to 1,100 yuan, which instantly discouraged many people. Even the few cultivators in the venue, who still had the financial resources to continue bidding, had concerns. Chapter 27 Ancient Recipes and Return. Why are you so generous today, junior brother Liu? The kind-looking old man not only knew Liu Jing, but also knew that he came from a declining immortal cultivation family. So even though he knew that Liu Jing was unlikely to make false reports, he still wanted to confirm it. Haha, senior brother Wu, don't worry. I went out this time and killed an evil cultivator in the middle stage of Foundation building, and I made a fortune. Liu Jing took the evil magic weapon used by the old ghost from the storage bag and showed it to everyone generously. This magic weapon is actually the bloodthirsty shuttle, but the old ghost has been nurturing this weapon for nearly 200 years. It is already the best of the top magic weapons for killing. Ordinary Foundation building cultivators can make their hair stand on end just by sensing its breath. While everyone marveled at the power of the bloodthirsty shuttle, they were also very afraid of Liu Jing, who could kill its master, and they were less willing to compete with him for the key condensation pill. Especially the rude man who had offended Liu Jing before. He was really on pins and needles at this moment, and he wanted to leave immediately. In the end, the world of immortal cultivation still respects the strong. Liu Jing's move directly established the victory. After handing over the spirit stone, he happily took the bottle of key gathering pill into his arms. After the warm-up of the key gathering pill, the atmosphere in the venue became lively again. The next few kinds of pills were sold at prices 20% to 30% higher than the market price. However, there were no more pills that could assist the cultivation of immortal cultivators in the foundation building stage. Instead, there were some special purpose pills, such as spirit yun powder, that could accelerate the growth of spirit beasts, explosion pill, that greatly enhanced the power of one's own fire spells in a short period of time, happy pill, that improved the effect of dual cultivation, etc. At the end of the auction of pills, the kind-looking old man took out a bottle of key gathering pill. This is the best pill that can be taken by immortal cultivators in the key refining stage among the common pills to increase their cultivation. I think it was specially prepared for immortal cultivators like Luo Hong, who followed their elders to attend the meeting. The medicinal strength of a key pill is about 20, which is more than 3 times higher than that of the yellow dragon pill. Luo Hong decisively made another move and bought a total of 10 key pills for 100 spirit stones. During this period, the girl wanted to compete with him, but it seemed that she had spent too many spirit stones on the kinging mirror, so Luo Hong didn't feel any pressure at all. After the matter was over, she looked at Luo Hong with a more ferocious look. Luo Hong ignored it directly and muttered, "It shouldn't be a loss to exchange the wealth of 3 evil cultivators for a bottle of pills." This successfully calmed Liu Jing's slightly surprised eyes. After the pill auction ended, it was the turn of unpopular items such as talismans, formation flags and spirit beasts. Because these types of things are difficult to produce fine products, it didn't take long for the stage of auctioning various spiritual materials and medicines. Most of the spiritual materials and medicines are high-end goods suitable for immortal cultivators in the foundation building period. Although Luo Hong couldn't use them, he also gained a lot of knowledge. Time passed with the sound of bidding. When the last spiritual medicine was sold, the kind-looking old man immediately announced the start of the barter. There was no order of precedence. Those who were interested could come on stage to show their spiritual objects and say what spiritual objects they needed. Luo Hong looked at the spiritual objects brought out by more than 10 foundation building cultivators, but he didn't see the top level flying magic weapon he had been thinking about. He counted the top level magic weapons that appeared in the entire trade fair and found that most of them were offensive magic weapons such as hooks, forks, swords, and halberds. The only defensive magic weapon was the Kingling Mirror, and there was no trace of flying magic weapons. It seems that other immortal cultivators are not fools. They will not easily sell such life-saving weapons. 1 pure lotus pill ancient recipe in exchange for a lotus spiritual medicine that is more than 500 years old. The veiled female cultivator of the moon shaking sect came on stage at some point and took out an ancient recipe for pills. She actually wanted to exchange for the spiritual medicine that was more than 500 years old that the giant and cultivators coveted. Luo Hong, who had been losing interest, became more excited when he heard the words pure lotus pill. This was an advanced version of the white lotus pill, which would be very helpful for him to practice the ice skin and jade bone method. This woman obviously wanted to refine the pure lotus pill. Could it be that she also practiced the ice skin and jade bone method? Many people were interested in the ancient pill recipe, but the price asked by the veiled female cultivator was too high. For those of them who were in the foundation building stage, the elixir that would take 200 or 300 years of cultivation would be hard to find, so after waiting for a long time, no one responded from the audience. Luo Hong naturally didn't have any on hand, but just kept this in mind. The veiled female cultivator had expected this result, so she was not very disappointed and left the stage as usual. In the Yellow Maple Valley, above the protective magic circle of Fanghua Garden, Liu Jing and Luo Hong said goodbye briefly and went straight to Li Huoyuan's cave. After taking out the pass token, Luo Hong returned to the small courtyard that he had been away from for half a month. He couldn't help but feel relaxed and lay on the bed to rest for a while. On the way back, he asked his fellow disciples indirectly. Baki Anatang had been in turmoil for 10 days after he left, and all the disciples who had learned to make talismans were checked. In the end, only 2 disciples who made inferior talisman paper were caught and severely punished, and then they stopped. At least, that was the case on the surface. In this way, Luo Hong naturally felt relieved, because as long as he did not investigate thoroughly, the possibility of him being exposed was very small. As for whether Baki Anatang would do something like waiting for rabbits by the tree, being loose on the outside and tight on the inside, Luo Hong was not worried at all. He originally planned to stop after doing a lot of hard work. If Baki Anatang really had any arrangements, it would be in vain. After recovering his spirit, Luo Hong came to the main house to check the operation of the small rain cloud formation. Before leaving, he put 4 spirit stones into the formation plate and only used more than 1 so far. Luo Hong now has a lot of spirit stones, so he simply added a few more spirit stones so that he would not have to worry about his duties in Fanghua Garden for a few months. If the other key refining disciples in the valley knew what Luo Hong did, they would definitely scold him for being a spendthrift. If he did this, the 2 spiritual stones given by the sect every month would not be enough to fill it up, and he would have to add a little on his own. However, this is the happiness of people with spiritual stones. Sitting cross-legged in the spirit gathering array, Luo Hong took out more than 10 jade bottles of various sizes from his storage bag in one breath, and lined them up neatly in front of him. Most of these jade bottles were Huanglang pills that Li Xiaoan helped him refine. Because Luo Hong saved her, Li Xiaoan not only did not take a commission from them, but also gave a few more, making a total of 50 pills. 10 furnaces of Huanglang pills succeeded 5 times, which is still much worse than Han Lao Mo, but it is already excellent compared to other alchemists. The rest, except for the newly bought Iki pill, were the pills searched from Li Mingjing's storage bag. There was nothing special, all of them were pills of the same level as Huanglang pills, but there were a lot of them, and the total medicinal power was more than 500. These pills can theoretically increase my mana limit by 1000, which is enough for me to cultivate to the 10th level of key refining. By then, I will have completed most of the key refining period, and should be able to see some ways to advance to the foundation building stage. After saying that, Luo Hong raised his head and swallowed a yellow dragon pill to refine the medicinal power. The next chapter preview is the mystery of the bottleneck. I didn't expect that I would write a chapter in reserve. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 28 Bottleneck Mystery. As the yellow dragon pills entered his stomach, Luo Hong's cultivation base was improving at a steady pace, and the silver runes in the meridians of the basic skills were also steadily comprehended. But the good times didn't last long. Less than a month later, Luo Hong encountered an accident when refining the medicinal power of the yellow dragon pills. The new mana that should have entered the Danshan was squeezed out and then scattered. Luo Hong looked at his current mana limit, which was 500. His cultivation base was only 11 mana limits away from the peak of the 8th level of key refining. So I've encountered a bottleneck. That's great. During the key refining period, cultivators usually encounter bottlenecks at the 3 levels of the 4th level to the 5th level, the 8th level to the 9th level, and the 12th level to the 13th level. If you can't break through, you can't go further. Throughout the ages, I don't know how many cultivators' foundation building paths have been cut off before these 3 levels. Although it's not to the extent of being afraid of bottlenecks, it's definitely not fun to encounter them. However, Luo Hong regarded the bottleneck as a rare research opportunity. He did not feel any obstacles when he upgraded from the 4th floor to the 5th floor. He felt very disappointed at that time, but now he finally caught it. I said it, with my 4th grade spiritual root qualifications, how could I not encounter a bottleneck? I was just worrying about it before. In fact, just looking at the data, we can know that the so-called bottleneck is the phenomenon that the cultivator cannot reach the upper limit of mana required to break through the next realm by practicing in a normal way. Luo Hong had heard some commonly used methods to break through the bottleneck when he went to the transmission hall to listen to lectures by chance before. The experience of these predecessors all verified his conclusions. First of all, the best method is to take drugs. Take a pill with strong medicinal power and use the mana upper limit that increases in a short period of time to forcefully break through the bottleneck. The second is to purify your own mana. Spend a lot of time polishing and refining it over and over again, and then you can naturally break through the bottleneck. All the cultivators in the key refining period who encounter bottlenecks will choose to take drugs, but reality will force most of them to embark on the path of pure mana, which is why there are so many old cultivators in the key refining period with pure mana in the Yellow Maple Valley. After figuring out what the bottleneck is, the next question is, why is the upper limit of the mana of the cultivator limited? Why don't cultivators with good spiritual root qualifications encounter bottlenecks? These two questions are not difficult to answer. As we all know, the key refining period is actually the period when cultivators polish and strengthen their danshan. If the upper limit of mana cannot be increased, it is naturally because the cultivator's danshan can no longer accommodate more mana. The spiritual root qualification determines the purity of the cultivator's initial mana. Taking Luo Hong's 4th grade spiritual root as an example, he will absorb 4 of the 5 element of spiritual energy when practicing. Compared with the 2nd grade spiritual root, that only absorbs 2 types of spiritual energy, Luo Hong's mana will have more impurities when practicing the same technique. In other words, the higher the spiritual root qualification, the higher the purity of the mana cultivated by the cultivator. The higher the purity of mana, the greater the actual amount of mana in the danshan of the same size. In this way, high qualified cultivators will naturally not encounter bottlenecks. So should I start to consciously purify mana for future cultivation? Luo Hong couldn't help but fall into such thinking. This is something that other cultivators don't need to consider at all. There are too few elixirs that can help break through the bottleneck. Not purifying mana is equivalent to giving up the road of cultivation. The reason why Luo Hong hesitated is because he thought of the predecessors in Huangfeng Valley who had reached the foundation building stage, but were trapped by the bottleneck of foundation building. They are basically cultivators of 2nd grade spiritual roots. With their qualifications and long-term polishing of their own mana, their mana should be quite pure, but they still can't break through. Why? Obviously, in addition to the purity of mana, there must be other limiting conditions. Thinking about it carefully, the problem is most likely the size of the danshan. Because when the purity of mana is difficult to change, the only thing that can significantly increase the upper limit of mana is the size of the danshan. The size of danshan is only related to the physique of the person. Except for the few kinds of dharma bodies, there should be only slight differences between each cultivator. Although cultivators with 2nd grade spiritual roots rarely encounter bottlenecks during their cultivation, they may have expanded danshan when they were building their foundation, because it was not necessary at other times. This ultimately led to their upper limit of mana being difficult to meet the requirements of the next realm. Of course, at this stage, there will always be cultivators who realize this problem and try to expand danshan, but why have few people succeeded? Could it be that the expansion of danshan is not that easy? Luo Hong felt that it was necessary to do an experiment, so he took another Huanglang pill. This time, he no longer stored every bit of mana he refined into danshan, but let them continue to circulate in the meridians with the spiritual energy, and finally stuffed the 6 mana he refined into danshan. Luo Hong was 11 mana away from a breakthrough. Although these 6 mana could not allow him to break through, they also made his danshan exceed the current carrying limit, so his danshan was slightly expanded. However, the next moment, the danshan began to shrink, and the 6 mana that Luo Hong had forced in was quickly forced out. So there is such a reaction. In this case, if you want to expand the danshan, you must continue to input mana into the danshan, so that the danshan can remain in an expanded state for a long time and finally enter a stable state. The amount of mana input cannot be less than the amount of mana that is expelled from the danshan, otherwise it is useless. How can this be done? Luo Hong quickly thought of the simplest way, taking a pill with extremely strong medicinal power, refining part of the medicinal power, and forcing it into the danshan, and the remaining medicinal power is continuously refined into mana to replenish it as a normal cultivation. To maintain the balance and get the maximum benefit, I have to collect more data. After saying that, Luo Hong took another Huanglang pill. This time he first forced 2 mana into it, and after it was all expelled, he forced 4 mana into it. The result is obvious. The more mana that is forced in, the faster the danshan expel the mana. Fortunately, I practiced with the spiritual pressure method, and the internal spiritual pressure in the meridians was stable, so the mana refined per unit time was fixed. Otherwise, it would be really difficult to control. After some calculations, the results were shocking. Luo Hong accelerated his cultivation speed by more than 20 times under the spiritual pressure method, but he could only barely maintain 10 mana beyond the limit of his danshan. This does not mean that he can break through after 2 consecutive times. He can exceed the limit of 10 mana the first time, but after the danshan expands, he will probably not be able to maintain even 1 mana beyond the limit the next time. According to this calculation result, it is impossible for a cultivator to break through the bottleneck by swallowing pills, but the facts tell Luo Hong that taking pills is the easiest way to break through the bottleneck. Practice is the only criterion for testing the truth, and data will not lie. It is only possible that Luo Hong missed a crucial factor. This unknown factor can provide the missing part of the cultivation speed when the cultivator breaks through the bottleneck. Chapter 29 Xiandao, you old thief. What on earth did I miss? What on earth is providing this missing cultivation speed? Is it another bonus from the Xiandao boss? Or did I hit a certain marginal value and formed a siphon effect? Wait. Siphon realm. Luo Hong instantly recalled a sentence from the senior brother of the transmission hall. When a cultivator breaks through a bottleneck, his cultivation will be rapidly improved in a short period of time. So after breaking through the bottleneck, he needs to stabilize his mind and retreat for a period of time. At that time, the senior brother of the transmission hall explained it as the accumulation of the cultivators trapped by the bottleneck. Luo Hong had forgotten it, because he had always been worried about encountering bottlenecks. Now think about it, Han Lao Mo and the original work of mortals also often had a great increase in mana after breaking through the realm. These are obviously not the improvements that can be obtained through normal cultivation. Luo Hong suddenly grasped something, and he didn't care about danshan or not, and quickly took 2 key combining pills at the same time. The abundant spiritual energy rushed into the meridians, quickly raising the internal spiritual pressure to the limit. Luo Hong continued to accumulate mana until the meridians were swollen and painful, and then he stuffed the accumulated more than 20 mana into the danshan. This broke through the bottleneck of the 9th level of key refining. Just when the danshan was about to shrink, the flow rate of spiritual energy in Luo Hong's meridians suddenly accelerated, and the newly refined mana was continuously transported into the danshan, with a value far higher than Luo Hong's previous calculation. It was this feeling that this was the boundary between immortals and mortals. This was a gift that could only be obtained after the mana was raised to a certain value. Luo Hong completely understood that each realm of cultivation actually represents a new level of life. As long as you cross it, even if it is only for a moment, it will trigger the rules of the mortal world. As for whether this is an energy level transition, a marginal aggregation effect of spirit particles, or some other principle, Luo Hong is not yet able to figure it out. The speed of exclusion caused by the overlimit of 20 mana is still slightly faster than the current cultivation speed, and it slowly fell to the overlimit of 16 mana before reaching a balance. If the speed of cultivation under the spiritual pressure method is deducted, the extra cultivation speed is exactly equal to the speed of displacement of the superlimit 11 mana. The superlimit 11 mana just allows Luo Hong to break through the bottleneck, so this is definitely not a coincidence. There are rules in the dark, or there is a constant waiting to be discovered. However, this assistance from the rules is not out of nothing. The increase in the speed of cultivation has caused the speed of consumption of the medicine of the key combining pill to soar. If you break through in a place where the spiritual energy is not sufficient, you will definitely face failure. About half an hour later, the retraction force of the Danshan began to decrease greatly, approaching zero in a few breaths. At this time, the breath of the heavenly way that Luo Hong was familiar with descended. The mana in the Danshan flowed into the meridians of the technique, circulated the Zaoshan over and over again, and gradually became purer. All of this did not require Luo Hong to control it, and it was running naturally. The flesh was extremely comfortable under the nourishment of the mana, and the concept of time in the mind became more and more blurred, and the mind gradually emptied. This is a wonderful feeling that all immortal cultivators will have when they break through. Some powerful people call it the unity of mana nature. In the past, every time a small realm was broken through, the mana would be refined by 1 point, so Luo Hong was not surprised. After all, his expanded Danshan could only hold about 600 mana at most. If he wanted to break through to the 10th level of key refining, he had to reach the upper limit of 1023 mana, which was impossible to reach without pure mana. With a thought, 2 new entries appeared on Luo Hong's physical examination form: mana purity 1.5 to Danshan capacity 830. As the mana purity slowly increased, the Danshan capacity increased rapidly. Luo Hong's sense of time was already blurred. He felt that in a blink of an eye, the Danshan capacity was approaching 1000. So fast, if this goes on, the small bottleneck when breaking through the 10th level of key refining will be gone. This is really great. No, the small bottleneck of the 10th level cannot be gone. Luo Hong suddenly woke up, and his thinking ability quickly returned. The only chance to expand the Danshan is when breaking through the bottleneck. I plan to make perfect use of the small bottleneck after the 9th level of key refining, and the big bottleneck at the 12th level. At this rate, my mana will be twice as pure soon. If I don't stop then, I'm afraid I won't be able to keep even the small bottleneck of the 11th floor. I'm so naive. Mortal cultivation is against the cycle of life and death of the heavenly Dao, which is against the heaven. How could the heavenly Dao reward the cultivators? It's digging a hole. Heavenly Dao, you old thief. Don't try to trick me into refining my mana. Luo Hong didn't hesitate to damage his meridians and forcibly controlled the high-speed flow of mana, allowing it to return to the Danshan. Wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, Luo Hong looked up at the sky with an extremely ugly face. As soon as a state of unity between heaven and man ended, the heavenly Dao disconnected from him. I was wrong all along. The heavenly Dao is not the boss. It is at best a general manager who doesn't want to share a little power. The highest realm that can be cultivated in the mortal world is Daozu. Just hearing this title, you know that the heavenly Dao is just a younger brother in front of it. Obviously, the heavenly Dao will not allow the Daozu to appear, so it's time to put away all fantasies. Cultivating immortals is going against the will of heaven. The enemy that cultivators need to be most careful of is the way of heaven. This old thief is very sinister. In the future, as the cultivation level increases, the upper limit of mana required to break through the bottleneck will be higher. This old thief intervened when the cultivators were developing in the key refining stage, making them think they had gained an advantage, but in fact he was destroying their foundation. When these cultivators reach the foundation establishment stage, they will be limited by the size of their Danshan, and there will be a huge gap in the upper limit of mana between them and the next realm, and then they will be locked in the current realm. At that time, I'm afraid that only the method of dispersing power and recultivating, such as the threefold transformation of Yuan Gong, can be used to further purify the mana and to seize the bottlenecks when breaking through the foundation for many times to expand the Danshan in order to fill this hole. This move by the way of heaven is really wonderful. My Danshan capacity is 1005 now. I just need to practice step by step, and I can expand my Danshan again when I break through the realm next time. After doing this several times, I can expand my Danshan to the limit and then purify my mana. By then, excluding those lucky ones with abnormal mana bodies, I'm afraid I will become the most powerful key refining cultivator in history. Thinking of this, Luo Hong couldn't help but be excited. Then he coughed up blood. Fortunately, his meridians were not seriously injured, and he could recover by taking a bath with white lotus pill. However, in order to confirm how many days it took for him to break through this time, Luo Hong went to the main house first. Judging from the consumption of spirit stones in the small rain cloud formation, it was exactly 1 month. It seems that only 5 or 6 days have passed in my perception. It is true that time does not exist in practice. I'm in the key refining stage, and it is not difficult to imagine the scene of those great cultivators in the Giant stage, who often go into seclusion for decades. After taking a bath, the meridians still need to be nurtured for a few days. It is not suitable to practice during this period. Luo Hong then comprehended the silver rune. The epiphany that day was really dangerous now. I must have accidentally entered a state of unity between heaven and man, making the heavens mistake me for one of their own, and thus got a glimpse of the rules of the world. This was no different from a low-level employee wearing an invisibility cloak, sneaking into the general manager's office, and peeking at the company's top secret documents. Chapter 30, Farming That Cannot Be Refused. Nephew Luo, come out quickly. Uncle Master, I have great news to tell you. After the sound transmission note conveyed the message, it immediately burned up in front of Luo Hong. What good news can make Uncle Master Liu so excited? Luo Hong put down the brush and carefully flew the instrument. His injury had not healed yet, so he could only fly very slowly. Liu Jing waited for a while and didn't care. Just as he was about to greet him with a smile, he noticed that Luo Hong's breath was abnormal, and immediately his face showed a look of worry and surprise. Nephew Luo, why are you injured? I was a little impatient when practicing, and damaged my meridians. It will be healed in a few days. That's good. The medicinal properties of the key combining pill are strong. It is a pill suitable for the late stage of key refining. Nephew, you are still in the middle stage of key refining. You will be fine in the future. You have broken through the 9th level of key refining. Liu Jing was surprised at Luo Hong's practice speed. A month ago, this kid was only at the 7th level of key refining. He actually rose to levels in such a short time. The medicinal effect of this key combining pill is really strong. However, after Liu Jing carefully sensed Luo Hong's manner, he couldn't help but feel sorry for him. Nephew Luo, you didn't enter the state of unity between heaven and man when you broke through. Otherwise your manner at this time shouldn't be at the level of just entering the 9th level of key refining. Maybe I don't have this blessing. Luo Hong licked the surface of the sugar-coated bullet of the heavenly Dao and didn't get most of the benefits. In the eyes of the immortal cultivators who didn't know the truth, Luo Hong suffered a huge loss. Haha, it doesn't matter. With the good news that I brought you today, it's easy to make up for this loss. Nephew Luo, what do you think of the production of Fanghua Garden? Liu Jing suddenly turned the topic to Fanghua Garden. Obviously, the good news was related to this garden. Fanghua Garden has more than 100 acres of low-level spiritual fields. Each acre can produce more than 300 kilograms of spiritual grains, and the annual output can reach 30,000. It is considered a very large spiritual grain garden in the sect. These are the basic information of Fanghua Garden, which Luo Hong learned when he just joined the job. Yes, if junior brother Luo asked you to hand over 32,000 kilograms of spiritual grain every year, would you feel pressured? Luo Hong frowned slightly, thought for a moment and said, according to records in previous years, the actual annual output of spiritual grain in Fanghua Garden is around 31,000 kilograms. If you want to increase the output by more than 1,000 kilograms, I'm afraid you must use some means of spiritual plants. Oh, junior brother Luo also knows about spiritual plants? That saves me the trouble of introducing you. Take this jade slip. Liu Jing handed a red jade slip to Luo Hong, and then said, there are a total of 10 spiritual arts in this jade slip, including 5 lower level elementary arts and 5 intermediate level elementary arts. And starting next year, the sect will no longer take all the spiritual grain produced by Fanghua Garden, but will instead charge a fixed amount of 32,000 kilograms. Junior brother Luo, do you understand? Of course I understand. You want to trick me into farming. Luo Hong forced out a bitter smile. Uncle Master, you think too highly of me. How can the spiritual arts of a spiritual plant husband be so easy to learn? Spiritual arts are actually spells, but these spells can assist the growth of plants and spiritual medicines, increase their spirituality, and increase their yields. They have special and huge effects, so they are specially classified into a category. The cultivators who practice spiritual arts are spiritual plant husbands. Each of them is a high-level talent that all major forces are fighting for. Even spiritual plant husbands who practice key training are often much richer than ordinary foundation building cultivators. But if spiritual arts are so easy to practice, such a large Fanghua garden would not just use a small rain cloud formation. All spiritual arts are the most difficult to learn among the spells of the same level. One is that they require a high degree of control over mana, and the other is that they need to open up some small branches of the side doors. Nephew Luo, don't belittle yourself. I have seen how you skillfully use the water control technique when fighting. I believe that there is no problem with the control of mana. The rest of opening up the meridians is just a matter of time, and it doesn't need to be much. As long as you can learn the elementary and intermediate spiritual technique, small rain cloud technique, the output of Fanghua Garden can be increased by half or 10%. It's just a matter of hard work every day. Liu Jing had great confidence in Luo Hong. Without waiting for his reply, he took out another yellowed page of paper. This is the recipe for the spiritual wine I asked for from Master for you. You hunted on spiders in Xiangshan before, and you plan to brew spiritual wine. Now, you have both the spiritual grain and the wine recipe. Isn't this great news? Can I still say no? I can't blame Uncle Liu for today's embarrassment. He was completely well-intentioned. I can only blame me for telling too many lies and acting too realistically. Yes, of course. Uncle Master's kindness is great, and I will never forget it. Nephew Luo, you don't have to be like this. I, Liu Jing, have always been clear about gratitude and resentment. You helped me get the key gathering pill before, and these are all the rewards you deserve. Oh, by the way, when you brew the spiritual wine next year, you can put it in the Jade Dragon Gourd and store it for a few months, and then take some of the best quality to offer to my master. This is the only condition in exchange for the wine recipe. After running around for a month, I finally got it done. From today, I will be in seclusion for 10 years. If you have anything, you can go to your junior uncle. If you have any problems, I have already taken care of her. As soon as the voice fell, Liu Jing left in a hurry. He saw that Luo Hong's cultivation had made great progress after taking the pill, and he couldn't hold back in his heart. Looking at the black spot on the horizon, Luo Hong felt complicated. He bowed sincerely and performed a junior salute. Uncle Liu, I'm very lucky to meet you in the world of cultivation. Returning to his own courtyard, Luo Hong put the red jade slip on his forehead and comprehended the 10 spiritual arts in it. There are 5 gates at the lower level and 5 gates at the middle level, which correspond to the 5 elements of gold, wood, water, fire, and earth. After reading it once, Luo Hong found that the only spiritual arts that he could master within a year were 2 gates of water and 2 gates of gold, which are water elementary lower level, Yang Shushu, water elementary middle level, Xiao Yu Yanju, gold elementary lower level, Jinzenshu, gold elementary middle level, Xiao Zhengjinju. With my current control of mana, even if I want to perform Yang Shushu, I have to practice hard for several months. I'm afraid I'll have to learn the more difficult Xiao Yu Yanju for 1 or 2 years. Liu Jing is thinking about me, but he is also euphemistically reminding me that instead of fantasizing about building a foundation, it's better to learn a skill and save a family business for future generations. It just so happens that this matter is related to Li Huoyuan. If I don't brew this spiritual wine, I'm afraid I can't get the job done by him. The power of a spell is determined by the purity of the cultivator's mana, and the control of mana is determined by the cultivator's consciousness. Luo Hong's spiritual awareness doubled due to his previous epiphany, so Liu Jing thought he was talented. Liu Jing was indeed right, but he did not expect that Luo Hong did not want thousands of kilograms of spiritual grain every year, and just wanted to practice and study quietly. Forget it, there are still nearly 3 years before the Tainan conference, so I will spend 2 hours every day to practice spiritual arts. If I can brew a large amount of spiritual wine, I can also explain where my spiritual stones come from. The next chapter previews 3 years later. After 30 chapters of foreshadowing, let's start the main story. Chapter 31 3 years later. 3 years later, in the land of mysterious fire, Li Xiao's exclusive alchemy room. Sister, has senior brother Luo Hong pill been refined? It's already the 6th day. Li Xiao's sweet and innocent voice made the hot alchemy room cooler. She pouted her lips, as if she was a little dissatisfied with her sister's delay. You want to tire me to death, girl? 3 furnaces of pills. 6 days is fast enough. Li Xiao put her left hand on her waist and pinched her sister's nose with her right hand, punishing her twice. That's right, Xiao, don't get tired, I'll feel bad. Yuang ran out from behind the alchemy furnace with a dusty face. Because Xiao urged him so much, Li Xiao called him to help with the hard work. Sister, I'm just anxious. Senior brother Luo is about to leave for the Tainan small meeting, and I just can't go with him. I can't meet him this time, and I don't know when the next opportunity will come. Li Xiao held up her chin worriedly, and her scallion white fingers circled the rim of the cup. Xiao, I don't understand. If you want to see that boy surnamed Luo, just go see him. Why do you have to find some excuse? Look at me, your senior brother. I just come here for a visit. Yuang said smugly, while cleaning the alchemy furnace with magic. Humph, I won't learn from you. Female cultivators must be reserved. You won't understand, even if I tell you. Sister, give me the elixir. Li Xiao rolled her eyes at Yuang, took the jade bottle handed over by Li Xiao, and ran out of the alchemy room happily. Yuang looked at this scene, then looked at his robes, that were stained with a lot of black and grey. Suddenly, he felt a little uncomfortable. He glanced at Li Xiao with a slanted eye, and couldn't help fantasizing. Li Xiao was worried about her sister's affairs, and Luo Hong didn't know what magic he used to make Xiao's heart tightly tied to him. In order to have more contact with him, Xiao practiced much more diligently than before. It was precisely because of this that Li Xiao acquiesced to this matter, but Luo Hong had not expressed his opinion clearly until now, which was really worrying. Humph, this matter was all Yuang's fault. If this guy hadn't always said good things about Luo Hong to Xiao after returning from Xiangshan, there would not have been any trouble today. Li Xiao became more and more angry as she thought about it. In a blink of an eye, she found that Yuang was peeking at her. Her cheeks immediately blushed, and she showed her dominance. What are you looking at? Hurry up and work. Oh Yuang put away his thoughts that he shouldn't have, and continued to clean the furnace with a slightly depressed look. I'll go sit and rest first. You can go back after cleaning the alchemy room. In a few days, Xiao and I will go back to the Li family. When Li Xiao walked to the door of the alchemy room, she suddenly turned her back to Yuang and said quickly. Then, she disappeared around the corner. Yuang, is this it? Are you asking me to clean the Li family's alchemy furnace? Stepping on a flying sword, Li Xiao came all the way to the outside of the Fanghua Garden's protective formation. Before she could shout, the protective film opened a hole on its own initiative. It was obvious that Luo Hong knew she was coming. As soon as Li Xiao flew into Fanghua Garden on her sword, a breath of water spirit full of vitality rushed over her face, making her feel that her skin was a little more delicate. Li Xiao was not surprised by this. She knew that this was the result of senior brother Luo performing the little rain cloud technique in the garden every day. Thinking of this, Li Xiao couldn't help but look at the spiritual field below. Not only was the growth of the spiritual valley much better than in other gardens, but there were also many mortal warriors who use their internal force from time to time to force out the pests hidden in the roots of the spiritual valley. Brother Luo has really put a lot of thought into this garden. Last year, Fanghua Garden produced more than 35,000 kilograms of spiritual grains, which surprised many people. Li Xiao was still proud of Luo Hong's feat the moment before, and the next moment she lamented with pity. If only brother Luo could care about me as much as he cares about this garden. The flying sword quickly carried Li Xiao to the outside of the courtyard. Before she entered the door, she saw her brother Luo, and then turned her head away with blushing cheeks. Why didn't brother Luo put on his clothes properly? It turned out that Luo Hong didn't know why at this time. His upper robe was torn into a mess, and a large area of snow white skin on his chest was exposed. How could Xiao not be embarrassed when she saw this? I calculated that you should come on time, but are the pills ready? Luo Hong's panting was a little heavy, and his face was flushed, as if he was very hot. Yeah, I just came to deliver medicine to my senior brother. Li Zileking didn't dare to look at Luo Hong's appearance at this time, and lowered his head to hold the jade bottle in front of him. Thank you for bringing it to me. Come in and have a cup of spiritual tea. When she took the jade bottle, Luo Hong's burning palm brushed against Li Zileking's scallion white fingers, making her heart tremble, and then she was surrounded by the hot masculine breath of Luo Hong, and her whole body almost softened. Just when Li Zileking was about to agree, she looked up and met Luo Hong's fiery eyes. She suddenly thought of something, and her neck and above quickly turned red. She shouted, "Ah, sister, help me." Then she ran away. Luo Hong licked his dry lips and didn't chase him. He was really hot and unbearable. "Young master, the spiritual wine is here. The spiritual wine is here." In the distance, a white-bearded old man was holding a wine jar weighing more than 10 pounds in his hand, running quickly with the 7-star step, and he could still speak clearly. Luo Hong rushed over and snatched the wine jar, peeled off the spiritual seal on it, and lifted it up and poured it into his mouth. The liquor flowed into Luo Hong's mouth like a white dragon without a drop leaking out. In a moment, he drank up the jar of spiritual liquor weighing 12 kilograms. In this way, Luo Hong's stomach was no longer bulging, as if the spiritual liquor had entered a bottomless pit. After exhaling a breath of turbid air, his body temperature dropped rapidly, but it was still far from returning to normal, but he no longer felt uncomfortable. "Sir, do you want another jar?" the white-bearded old man asked tentatively. Even though he had lived here for 2 years, what happened today still made him a little unbelievable. "No need, take the spiritual liquor brewed last year to the market to sell. Old Zuo, I'll leave this matter to you." Luo Hong waved his hand to indicate that it was okay, and after giving an order, he let old Zuo leave. This girl from the Li family came at a really bad time, and this time it's even harder to explain. 2 years ago, I shouldn't have taught the male disciple who bullied her a lesson. Alas, who knew she would be so foolish to be a hero saving a beauty? There was no time to dwell on this matter now. Luo Hong summoned the high-level flying magic weapon King Guang sword and hurriedly flew to the northwest of Taiyu Mountains. If a cultivator with the Sky Eye technique looked at Luo Hong at this time, he would definitely think he had met a living god. It was because the surrounding heaven and earth spiritual energy was slowly gathering towards him, and he looked like a monster swallowing the sky and the earth, forming an exaggerated circle of 5-color halo on his body. The spiritual dragon secret pattern, refined with the blood of the Dan spider, is so overbearing. It not only swallows the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, but also continuously extracts the water spirit energy in my body. Now only the things in the Jade Dragon Good can suppress it. Chapter 32, Spiritual Dragon Secret Pattern. The northwest of the Taiyu Mountains is close to Yuanwu State on one side and Yu State Zizhao, which is full of deserts on the other side. It is very remote and almost no disciples from the Huangfeng Valley would come here. However, today is a little unusual. A green sword light streaked across the sky, and when it was about to fall on an unknown hill, the sword light swayed twice a little unsteadily. Luo Hong hurriedly took back the green sword. His face was red at this moment, and it looked a little more serious than when he was in Fanghua Garden. Luo Hong pinched the magic formula and chanted a spell. A stone wall in front of him rippled like the surface of the water, and then a man-made cave full of axe marks appeared. Walking in quickly, Luo Hong came to a natural cave in a short while. The spiritual energy in this cave is much richer than usual, and Luo Hong immediately felt that the heat on his body faded a lot. But what is even more shocking is that above a small puddle in the center of the cave, there is a treasure good emitting circles of 5-colored spiritual light. This is exactly Luo Hong's Jade Dragon Good, but now the Jade Dragon Good is no longer pure white. Its surface is covered with spiritual patterns. At first glance, it makes people feel that there is a blue spiritual dragon clinging to it. Luo Hong opened his palm and took the Jade Dragon Good into his palm. He opened the mouth of the good and sucked it. A stream of wine with abundant water spirit energy flew out. After Luo Hong swallowed it, not only did the abnormal condition of his body quickly subside, but he also stopped madly absorbing the spiritual energy of the surrounding heaven and earth, and the eye-catching colorful halo disappeared. Very good. The effect is far beyond my expectations. It is worth it that I have used the spirit eye spring to nourish it for a year. But I can't continue, otherwise this spiritual spring will dry up. Luo Hong glanced at the spiritual spring that had shrunk by 90% and then used his magic power to force a drop of blood from his fingertips and tapped it on the jade dragon gourd. The round blood mark left by this point was like closing the eyes of the blue spirit dragon on the jade dragon gourd, making the jade dragon gourd instantly return to its ordinary state, becoming a useless thing that could only hold water. I'm afraid I can't leave you in the future. Luo Hong smiled bitterly, put the jade dragon gourd on his waist generously, then threw out a talisman to close the cave-in trance, and sat down cross-legged on the spot. The changes he encountered today were all due to the spirit dragon secret pattern he created, based on the blood-burning totem. 2 years ago, when Luo Hong had thoroughly comprehended all the silver runes that operated the meridians of the Xiao Shu Yuan Gong, he was surprised to see the incomplete silver runes on the jade dragon gourd, and simply spent another year to complete these silver runes and merge them all into a set of secret patterns. In this way, the initial version of the spirit dragon secret pattern was born. After several improvements, although Luo Hong was very confident, it was too frivolous to use himself as a test subject. So, he followed the ancient evil cultivator's method of harming the dance spider and conducted an experiment on the jade dragon gourd. However, the secret pattern of the spirit dragon and the jade dragon gourd were very compatible. When the two met, they immediately showed their terrifying power and absorbed all the spiritual energy in the spirit gathering space in a short period of time. As a result, the spirituality of the spirit wine stored in the jade dragon gourd increased greatly, and the spiritual energy of the spirit stones that would damage the meridians directly became much milder than the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, and easy for cultivators to absorb. After discovering this phenomenon, Luo Hong felt like he had found a treasure. He immediately went to Yulu Temple to rent a double hydrant and dug out the spiritual eye spring that would be discovered by Han Lao Mo several years later, and used it to nourish the jade dragon gourd until today. After having a successful experience, Luo Hong spent more than half a year preparing spiritual materials and continued to carve the secret pattern carefully. Finally, he did it himself a month ago. Today, Luo Hong opened the eyes of the spirit dragon and finally cultivated the secret pattern. However, once the spiritual dragon pattern was activated, even Fanghua Garden, where the spiritual energy was relatively abundant, could not meet its consumption. It continuously extracted Luo Hong's own spiritual energy, especially the water spirit energy, so that he suddenly felt dry mouth. Of course, Luo Hong designed a perfect protection mechanism. As long as he drew a sword pattern with blood and essence on his forehead, the spiritual dragon pattern could be stopped. The reason why Luo Hong did not do this was because he still had the spiritual wine in the jade dragon gourd as a guarantee. There was no need to stop in a hurry before he understood the effect of the secret method he created. At present, Luo Hong seemed very calm on the outside, but in fact, the spiritual dragon clinging to his body had moved the battlefield of devouring spiritual energy into his body. The spiritual energy content of the spiritual wine that Luo Hong just drank was equivalent to a pill with 200 medicinal strength, and it was released very quickly. It should be said that it was not something that a cultivator in the key refining stage could withstand. However, there seemed to be an invisible giant mouth in Luo Hong's body, swallowing a large amount of spiritual energy every moment, so that the internal spiritual pressure in his meridians was always maintained within a safe value. The swallowed spiritual energy was undoubtedly absorbed and transformed by the spiritual dragon secret pattern, and the result of this transformation appeared in his Danshan. I saw that there were traces of blue light coming out from all parts of the Danshan, and they all gathered towards a point in the center of the Danshan. Even if Luo Hong urged his spiritual sense to the limit, he could only vaguely perceive from there that something much smaller than sand was slowly growing. Although it did not emit any spiritual energy fluctuations, the swallowed spiritual energy would not lie, which only showed that it had an absolute restraint on spiritual energy, and it was far from taking shape. These azure seem to be pure water spirits. The things condensed from them must be extremely spiritual water treasures. I originally wanted to come up with a secret method that could burst into life in critical moments, but now it seems like I'm using my body as a furnace to refine some treasures. This seems to be putting the cart before the horse. Luo Hong touched his skin, which was hot due to the full power operation of the spirit dragon secret pattern, and said to himself with a smile. In his original idea, the secret pattern absorbed spirits for easy replenishment, but now because of its excellent performance, the ordinary spirit environment can't meet the demand at all, so he has to drink a sip of spirit wine from time to time to replenish spirits artificially. In addition, the things refined by the secret pattern with spirits were originally just to make them more durable when bursting into life, but now this thing in the dungeon, Luo Hong said he was a little reluctant to use it. This item is definitely related to the silver rune on the 4th level dragon bone. If it can be refined, it must be a rare treasure in the world. Even if I use all the jade dragon wine I brew, it will definitely not be a loss. In this way, my own cultivation will still need to rely on elixirs. Luo Hong had a very strong intuition that, if the spiritual object in his dungeon could be refined, it would benefit him infinitely on his future path of cultivation. Flying out of the sword, Luo Hong collected the small maze he had set up before, and then threw out a primary and intermediate level earth-splitting talisman, which collapsed the mountain he had dug, and completely erased the traces of his presence. Thanks to Wu Zhengjun, Imodeshi, U2, Wang Xianqi, Itrift 7, Yushi Tongjun Zenyuanzi, a bamboo pole poked the sky and Digital Brother for their awards. I have nothing to repay you, so I can only present my only saved draft. Chapter 33 Tainan Meeting. In the past 3 years, Luo Hong has carefully considered how to deal with Han Lao Mo. First of all, the heaven holding bottle must not be stolen, and even anything that will affect Han Lao Mo's timeline on a large scale cannot be done. Otherwise the time Daozu is not joking, and Han Xianzhen may become Li Fiao at any time. After understanding the most core point above, Luo Hong can only choose whether to make friends with him or not. There is nothing to consider about this issue. If Luo Hong does not have a good relationship with Han Lao Mo, if he offends him accidentally, he will have to worry about being killed and robbed of treasures by him. Although Luo Hong may not be afraid of Han Lao Mo at that time, there is no reason not to avoid this kind of danger that can be avoided. On the contrary, if Luo Hong has a good relationship with Han Lao Mo, he can not only share some of the benefits of the heaven holding bottle, but also get a helper if he encounters a strong enemy in the future. However, when making friends with Han Lao Mo, you must be careful not to get too close and try to avoid going to dungeons together. Otherwise, when Luo Hong just retreats behind everyone, Han Lao Mo will quietly retreat behind him, which will make Luo Hong decide whether to continue to retreat or not. This scene was too embarrassing. With my current status, the best choice is to become a mentor and helpful friend to Han Lao Mo, a good senior brother who can give me advice, and a good Taoist friend with similar cultivation. Luo Hong reminded himself again on the way to Tainan Mountain on his sword. A few days later, the fog of Tainan Mountain was nothing to the immortal cultivators, who knew the foundation of this place. Luo Hong walked in the square used for stalls wearing the clothes of Huangfeng Valley, enjoying the envious and jealous eyes of many casual cultivators around. Among them, there were many casual cultivators with fierce faces, insidious hands, and self-confident cultivation who wanted to kill and rob treasures, but when they saw what was attached to Luo Hong's shoulders, they all stopped cursing. It was seen that Luo Hong had a primary and intermediate water spirit amulet attached to each of his shoulders. This was simply a super powerful malicious dispeller. As long as the casual cultivators saw it, they would not be embarrassed. However, Luo Hong would not tell them that there was a primary intermediate level diamond talisman on the back of his robe. This was a surprise specially prepared for the iron-headed kid who had some tricks. Because he had wasted some time practicing the secret pattern of the spirit dragon, Luo Hong did not arrive at Tainan Mountain before the start of the small meeting. Now there were still more than 10 days before the end of the small meeting, but it was still quite difficult to find Han Lao Mo within these 10 days. Luo Hong only knew that Han Lao Mo was now an ordinary looking, dark-skinned boy who pretended to be something he was not despite his youthful appearance. It would be a waste of time to find someone based on these characteristics. In comparison, a young and beautiful female cultivator like Han Yunzi who came out to set up a stall every day was much more recognizable. Luo Hong was now wandering around the stalls, looking for female cultivators like Han Yunzi. Wujiuji, you're looking for death, don't harm us. He's a disciple of Huangfeng Valley. His cultivation is unfathomable. Due to the devouring of the spiritual dragon secret pattern, Luo Hong's breath was not revealed at all. Hu Pinggu and a bearded man behind her felt that Luo Hong was a bottomless black hole, and they didn't dare to get too close to him. After moving their eyes away from Luo Hong, they stared at a boy of 16 or 17 in front of them with vigilance. Looking at this posture, as long as the boy made a slight move, the two of them would immediately stop him. Oh, I just thought the gird on his waist was beautiful, so I took a few more glances, not trying to steal it. But then again, these disciples of the big sects of cultivating immortals are far away from the secular world, and they should be the most unfamiliar with my stealing skills. Even if I take action, it is highly likely that I will not be discovered. Wujiuji didn't seem to notice the nervousness of his two companions, and smiled playfully, and retracted his gaze from the jade dragon gourd. Humph, yes. But if you are discovered, don't blame my husband and I for not collecting your body. Hu Pinggu ignored the boy, and dragged the bearded male cultivator towards her, in where they were staying. It was obvious that she didn't want to be splashed with blood. Wu Jiazi hesitated and followed him. He was a lively person, but he was not stupid. After returning to the residence, Wu Jiazi had not talked with King Wen and others for a while when he saw a strange boy being brought in. As soon as this person entered the door, Wu Jiazi realized that the other party was the opposite of himself, a mature young man, and he immediately felt itchy. I'm Hanli, brother, please keep your hands in line, I don't have the habit of Langyang. Seeing that Wu Jiazi was caught stealing by a new fellow cultivator, Wu Pinggu, who had suffered from him before, immediately gloated over his misfortune, and laughed so hard that the scars on her face were squeezed together. Haha, Wu Jiuji, you are such a half-baked person that you can't even deceive brother Han. You even wanted to attack the disciples of Huangfeng Valley. You really don't know how to live or die. You. So what if you are a disciple of Huangfeng Valley? None of his fellow disciples and elders are here. How can he show off? Wu Jiuji was angry and started to yell like a fool. Don't you know that after the Tainan small meeting, the Ascension Conference held every 10 years will be held here? Wu Pinggu was so surprised that she forgot to laugh. Ascension Conference? What is that? Wu Jiuji had a blank expression on his face. Hanli, who was sitting next to him, lowered his head and drank tea calmly, hiding the curiosity in his eyes. The leader Kingman immediately explained to Wu Jiuji. Hearing that he could get the Foundation Establishment pill by winning the Ascension Conference, Wu Jiuji immediately stood up eager to try, but after hearing from Wu Pinggu about the cruelty of the Ascension Conference, he could only sit down in anger. Those immortal cultivation families really don't give us casual cultivators a way out. It's obviously a trial arranged by the 7 major sects for us casual cultivators, and it's obviously the foundation building pill that belongs to us casual cultivators, but they are willing to lose face and snatch it. Everyone was touched by Wu Jiazi's words, but no one noticed King Wen's admiring look at Wu Jiazi. It's not that there is no chance. As long as you have a high level magic weapon and enough talismans, even casual cultivators can have a chance. The fat cultivator Huang Xiaoshan, who had been silent all the time, suddenly spoke up. From his tone, it seemed that he himself was the one who met the conditions. Most of the people present were old-timers in the secular world. They immediately heard the implication of Huang Xiaoshan's words and cast surprised eyes. Everyone is obviously miserable. Why do you, a fat man, suddenly become arrogant? Yesterday I found a secret store and bought some talismans at a low price. I will try it at this Ascension Conference. Huang Xiaoshan said proudly, patting his stomach. This, brother Xiaoshan, is it that 2 spirit stones are worth 3 pieces, and 9 pieces will give 1 water bullet talisman and water shield talisman? King Wen suppressed his smile and asked in a serious tone. So what? Is there anything wrong with it? Huang Xiaoshan vaguely felt something was wrong. Yes, Taoist priest, what's wrong with the talisman? Several casual cultivators, including Wu Pinggu, changed their faces slightly and looked at each other anxiously. Han Leomo is a background character in this book, with neither too many nor too few appearances, so you don't have to worry about having two protagonists. Chapter 34 Little Cutie Han Yunsky. Did you buy them all? Kingwen shook his head and sighed. Master, what do you mean? Stop keeping us in suspense. Wu Pinggu was so anxious that she was a little annoyed. She spent a huge sum of 6 spiritual stones. It doesn't matter. You should all take it as a lesson. After I tell you the truth, don't think about retaliating against the seller, let alone spread the matter everywhere. Look carefully, this should be the talisman you bought. Kingwen held a piece of yellow talisman paper with 2 fingers as the base, and the water bullet talisman outlined by Cinnabar, and showed it to everyone. With the other hand, he pinched the formula, and a water ball condensed after 2 breaths. The power of the water bullet technique I used is equivalent to the power of the ordinary water bullet talisman. As soon as the voice fell, Kingwen activated the talisman between his fingers. The talisman pattern lit up for a moment, and then a water ball several times smaller condensed. Now, everyone can see clearly that the power of this cheap talisman is much weaker than that of an ordinary talisman. Well, you dare to harm me, Dally, go with me, and smash that secret shop. Wu Pinggu felt sorry for the spirit stone, and forgot Kingwen's warning, dragged her husband, and was about to go out. Brothers Heejin and Imu, stop them. It's not just you two who were fooled. There are many who can wake up afterwards. Why is there no movement until now? Don't you think about it? The 2 brothers Heejin and Imu also bought cheap talismans. They were lucky to be able to control their anger, and they had no intention of stopping anyone. In a hurry, Kingwen quickly took out 2 more talismans and connected them together. 1 stroke makes 2 talismans. The little monk Q-sang, who had always looked calm, widened his eyes and exclaimed, "Everyone understands. Only the 7 major sects can afford to support such a master of talismans. Alas, we casual cultivators can only swallow our anger." Kingwen sighed and shook his head. "Are you really going to let it go? Brother Huang, where are you going?" Wu Pinggu fell down weakly. "Go back to sleep," Huang Xiaoshan said, slamming the door and leaving. Harley drank tea silently, seeming to have a very low sense of presence, but he listened to every word of the conversation between Kingwen and others, thinking to himself, the intrigues and deceptions in the world of immortal cultivation, the law of the jungle is even more sinister than the secular world. And this Taoist Kingwen seems to be deliberately leading everyone to hate the 7 major sects. I don't know what his purpose is, but we have to be on guard. The lights were just coming on, and Luo Hong stood in front of a stall, carefully looking at a lovely girl. She was wearing a light green gauze dress, fair skin, willow eyebrows and phoenix eyes, teeth like pearls, lips like red, and her bright eyes ran away like a frightened rabbit when they met Luo Hong's eyes. She was so cute. Looking at the scattered talismans, various low-level spiritual objects, and a complete version of Eternal Spring skill placed on her stall, there was no escape. This girl was Han Yunsky. When Luo Hong was looking at Han Yunsky, the little girl was also looking at him secretly. Why is this guy always staring at me? Oh, why is this guy wearing such a slutty outfit of a Huangfeng Valley disciple, with his chest exposed? The moment his eyes met, Han Yunsky felt an indescribable burning heat, and after avoiding him in a panic, she felt a little regretful. My brother and I want to pass the Ascension Conference, so we need spirit stones to buy elixirs to improve our cultivation. This man looks quite wealthy. Maybe I should make a small sacrifice. Han Yunsky pinched the corner of her clothes and hesitated for a moment, then mustered up the courage to take the initiative to say hello to Luo Hong. But when she looked back, she found that Luo Hong had already run to the stall next door and was chatting happily with the stall owner. She could only put down her raised wrist awkwardly. An inexplicable sense of shame and anger rushed into her heart, and she muttered in a low voice, "HMPH. Ledger." On the other side, Luo Hong had no idea of Han Yunsky's mental journey. He wanted to drive the stall owner away, and then take over, and wait for the opportunity. Of course, Luo Hong is not a person who takes things by force, and will try his best to use legitimate means, such as buying all the stall owner's goods. At first glance, this stall is full of various low-level spiritual fruits, most of which Luo Hong recognizes, but the most numerous one is the round fruit with mixed skin colors and extremely ugly appearance. He picked up one and smelled it in front of his nose, and it actually had an attractive fragrance. Peeling off the skin to reveal the thick milky white flesh, Luo Hong tasted it and immediately felt the milky fragrance in his mouth, which was endless aftertaste. Delicious. After swallowing the remaining fruit in 2 or 3 bites, Luo Hong picked up another one with unsatisfied taste. Wait a minute, fellow Taoist. The stall owner was a young man who looked more like a farmer than a cultivator. He was looking at Luo Hong with an awkward expression. What? Are you afraid that I can't afford the spiritual stones? Luo Hong swallowed the fruit in a few mouthfuls and licked his lips. Oh, how could this man, as a disciple of a big sect, bully a casual cultivator? It's too bad. Fortunately, I didn't provoke him. Han Yunzi quickly moved 2 steps to the side quietly, fearing that he would attract Luo Hong's attention again. This fellow Taoist has misunderstood. These 5-element fruits are not valuable. Even if you eat them all, I won't feel bad. I stopped you just now because although these 5-element fruits are very delicious, eating too much will damage your cultivation. The stall owner waved his hand to explain. Damage to cultivation? In what way? Luo Hong himself did not feel anything unusual. The 5-element fruit contains chaotic 5-element spiritual energy. Once a cultivator takes too much, impurities will appear in his own magic power. Then how much is considered too much? Luo Hong's tone became anxious. 1 a day is not too much, the stall owner said with a little apology. He laughed at the sight, thinking that Luo Hong had brought it upon himself and deserved it. Not bad, not bad. How many of these 5-element fruits do you have? Name a price, I want them all. Luo Hong was pleasantly surprised by the efficacy of the 5-element fruit. If he made a mistake when breaking through the bottleneck in the future, he would not be afraid of not being able to remedy it. Ah, Brother Dao, are you serious? The stall owner was an honest man, and he could not understand Luo Hong's train of thought at all. Of course. Little brother, I see that you and I have a destiny, and you have prepared any trading items. Take them all out. I'm a disciple of Huangfeng Valley, and I will definitely not damage the reputation of my master just to cheat you, a casual cultivator. Luo Hong raised his head and drank a sip of oolong wine, pretending to be generous. That's great. I'll be honest with you. These 200-year-old ZHU fruits are the spiritual fruits I really want to trade for this small meeting. I wonder if you have anything to exchange with me? The stall owner was really simple-minded. Luo Hong made a little promise and took out the best things he had kept in the bottom of his box. It's really ZHU fruit. It's even rarer to have one that's over 100 years old. The spiritual energy fluctuations emitted by the ZHU fruit attracted the exclamations of many casual cultivators around. There are many kinds of spiritual medicines with different medicinal properties, and ZHU fruit is the most suitable among the low-level spiritual medicines to increase cultivation. They don't need to be refined, and they can exert their full medicinal effects when taken directly. Not bad. It has a medicinal power of 30% after only 100 years, which is stronger than the Hiki pill. No wonder these casual cultivators' eyes are as big as copper bells. Luo Hong complained in his heart. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 35, The Perfectionist's Dilemma. Brother, are you practicing the basic earth-based skills? Luo Hong picked up a red fruit and asked calmly. That's right, I'm practicing the thick earth skill. Brother, why are you asking this? This. Before the stall owner finished speaking, Luo Hong flicked his sleeves and a pile of earth-based spiritual stones appeared on the stall. After counting carefully, there were as many as 20 pieces. 10 pieces for your red fruit, 5 pieces for your other spiritual fruits, and the remaining 5 pieces, you have to answer a question for me first. Luo Hong spoke slowly, while putting the spiritual fruits into the storage bag one by one. I picked the red fruit in the deep mountains. There are no more. The stall owner had never seen so many spiritual stones at once, not to mention that they were all the earth-based spiritual stones that were most suitable for him to absorb and refine. Although he wanted to throw himself on them and hold these spiritual stones in his arms, he did not forget that 5 of them did not belong to him yet. Who asked you about the red fruit? I want to ask about the 5-element fruit. This fruit is harmful to cultivation. I'm afraid you didn't plant it. Luo Hong held a 5-element fruit in front of the stall owner to let him know that he was not joking. It is indeed as you said. I picked these 5-element fruits. I usually sell them to wealthy families among mortals to exchange for some gold. Although the stall owner didn't know Luo Hong's purpose, he still told him everything he knew. Well, what's your name, little brother? Where do you live? Oh, my name is Zhao Yashu. I live in Wushan. Welcome to visit me. Luo Hong's generosity made Zhao Yashu put down his guard and told him his whereabouts. I'm offering these 5 spiritual stones because I want brother Yashu to help me look after the spiritual tree that produces the 5-element fruit. Please keep the 5-element fruit for me in the future. I'll come to get it when I have time. I see. I will definitely live up to your trust. Zhao Yashu patted his chest and promised. After collecting the spiritual stones, he said goodbye to Luo Hong. Done. Zhao Yashu had just left when Luo Hong occupied his stall. Just as he was about to put some things out to pretend, he felt a strange look from the side. Turning around, he saw that it was Han Yanzi who was staring at him with a pair of big watery eyes, and there was some resentment in her eyes. Did I do anything to her? Guessing a woman's mind is the most meaningless behavior. Luo Hong simply ignored her and took out a piece of talisman from the storage bag and placed it on the stall. You want to sell talismans too? Han Yanzi's tone was a little aggrieved. Miss, I don't mean to make things difficult for you, but you sell so many kinds of things that it's hard for me to avoid you. Luo Hong pointed to the various spiritual objects on Han Yanzi's stall, which looked like a small grocery store. You don't have to explain to me. Han Yanzi knew that she couldn't control others, so she had to turn her head away, out of sight, out of mind. However, Luo Hong soon found that Han Yanzi was peeking at him again. Of course, Han Yanzi was not looking at Luo Hong, a plain-looking male cultivator who made her angry, but at the talismans he displayed. Luo Hong found that, as long as he displayed the same talisman as the one on Han Yanzi's stall, the other party would frown, and as long as he took back the talisman, the other party would breathe a sigh of relief. It was really interesting. Luo Hong was pretending to sell talismans, so he naturally wouldn't deliberately make people hate him. After casually displaying a dozen elementary and intermediate talismans that were not repeated with Han Yanzi's, he lazily lay on the armchair and waited for Han Lao to come. Seeing that Luo Hong did not cause any more trouble, Han Yanzi felt relieved and continued to focus on selling his goods to the casual cultivators. He drank another mouthful of Jade Dragon wine, as if nothing had happened, and it was like a spiritual energy bomb exploded between Luo Hong's chest and abdomen. Due to the domineering power of the spiritual dragon's secret mark, it was impossible for Luo Hong to grab the spiritual energy to practice during its operation. So he took out the physical examination form to monitor the changes in his own data during the operation of the spiritual dragon's secret mark. Name: Luo Hong Realm. 10th level of key refining, 2012/2047, energy. 25 mana. 2012 spiritual sense. 40 spiritual root quality. 1 meridian strength. 35. The current limit of the meridians that can withstand the internal spiritual pressure. Internal spiritual pressure. 26. Fluctuating, external spiritual pressure. 1.5. Stable, mana purity. 3.7. Increased spell power equals mana purity asterisk 5%, mana control. 4. Spiritual sense determines the upper limit, which has been reached at present. Danshan capacity. 2012 mana countdown to the great perfection of key refining. 411 days, calculated based on the current internal spiritual pressure. Skill proficiency, 10th level of Xiaoshu Yuan Gong, 989/1024, 5th level of Bingjiu Gufa, 120 thousandths. 1st level of Lingjio secret pattern, / Luo Hong can break through the bottleneck of the 10th level of Xiaoda Yuan Gong at any time, but one reason is that he was delayed in practicing the Lingjio secret pattern. And the other reason is that his Danshan is close to the limit of expansion. Although he has only experienced the big and small bottlenecks once, Luo Hong's precise control has made each bottleneck play the greatest role, so that now his Danshan has expanded by 30% compared to the original. In order to get the most benefit in the next breakthrough, Luo Hong must first strengthen the toughness of Danshan. There are currently two ways. One is to take the foundation building pill and use its medicinal effect of washing essence and marrow to strengthen the body. The second is to practice the ice muscle and jade bone method to the 6th level. The ice muscle and jade bone method has a total of 12 levels, and the first 6 levels are the ice muscle chapter. In other words, as long as Luo Hong practices to the 6th level, it will be considered that the ice muscle chapter has been completed, and the meridians and Danshan will be greatly improved. However, compared with practicing the ice muscle chapter to the fullest, it seems that the difficulty of getting a foundation building pill is a little less. Because the ice muscle and jade bone method has been practiced to Luo Hong's level, the white lotus pill can no longer work. No matter how many times he takes a bath, his proficiency has not improved at all. If you want to go further, you must take the pure lotus pill. In fact, Luo Hong also raised a question. How can you bypass the restriction that you must rely on pills to practice the ice muscle and jade bone method? Before figuring out this question, Luo Hong must first understand what body refining is and which part of the cultivator is being refined. There is no doubt that body refining is a means for cultivators to change their physical bodies through external forces. After 3 years of research on silver runes, Luo Hong can be sure that silver runes not only exist in the meridians, but they are actually everywhere in the human body. Muscles, bones, internal organs, etc. Everything in the human body has corresponding silver runes. The reason why Luo Hong is most familiar with the silver runes in the meridians is simply because they are most commonly used in practice and are the easiest to observe. When Luo Hong's ice muscle and jade bone method broke through the 5th level before, Luo Hong was already very familiar with the silver runes in the meridians, so he immediately discovered that with the breakthrough of the ice muscle and jade bone method, not only did the silver runes in the meridians increase a lot, but the arrangement method also changed to a certain extent. If the silver runes are the evolution of rules and the underlying code of the mortal world, then the essence of body refining is to upgrade and enhance the performance of the system by rewriting these codes. So in theory, as long as Luo Hong deduces the changes that the 6th level of the ice skin and jade bone method causes to the silver runes, and can copy them by imitation, he can directly complete the secret method training. Chapter 36 Han Lao Mo's Golden Marrow Pill. In the practice of ice skin and jade bone, the role of white lotus pill is equivalent to a system patch, and it is undoubtedly an extremely difficult task to write the same patch manually. However, this is not impossible for immortal cultivators, because immortal cultivators have the weapon of spiritual consciousness. Luo Hong found in actual practice that the stronger the spiritual consciousness, the more delicate the work can be, and the smaller the things can be observed. Luo Hong believes that this is a reason why immortal cultivators can immediately perceive the world more clearly after advancing. My spiritual consciousness is already twice that of immortal cultivators of the same level. If I want to improve it further, I'm afraid I have to practice magical skills such as Dayanchu or use divine objects such as Nourish Soul Wood to nourish it. Even if I can get these two, it will take a lot of time to grow my spiritual consciousness. In addition, the large amount of time required for subsequent research will affect my plan to build a foundation before the age of 30, which is not worth the loss. So, for now, my primary goal is to obtain the pure lotus pill. If it doesn't work, I can use the foundation building pill to make do. The reason why Luo Hong is obsessed with cultivating the 6th level of ice skin and jade bone is because the mortal world has a strong discontinuity. There are class leaps everywhere in the cultivation of immortals, and the most typical example is the great realms on the road to cultivation. The reason why foundation building cultivators can crush key refining cultivators is that the mana energy level of foundation building cultivators increases dramatically after the foundation building, and the life level jumps up a big step. Although Luo Hong has already mastered the 5th level of the total 6 levels of the Ice Skin chapter, it seems that one level less is not a big deal. But in fact, the benefits of mastering the 6th level will be far greater than the sum of the benefits of the first 5 levels. If the benefits of the first 5 levels of the Ice Skin and Jade Bone method are expressed by a function, it can be clearly seen that it is a curve that rises relatively steadily and gradually approaches the marginal point. The marginal point is the 6th level arrival point calculated by Luo Hong through the data collected by the first 5 levels, which is also the basis for the proficiency of the Ice Skin and Jade Bone method in the physical examination form. Because the frequency of marginal points in the process of cultivation is too high, Luo Hong can basically determine that the fundamental reason for the appearance of marginal points and marginal effects is definitely related to the most basic energy particles in the mortal world, spirit particles. It can be inferred that spirit particles have marginal transition effects. The most powerful proof is the existence of spiritual eye objects. The so-called spiritual eye objects are, I want this book. An ordinary voice brought Luo Hong, whose thoughts were drifting further and further away, back to reality. He looked at Han Yang's stall, and saw a young cultivator who was not ugly, but would disappear immediately in the crowd, flipping through a book Changchun Gong. Luo Hong took a sip of Yulong wine, letting the surging spiritual energy in his chest and abdomen restrain his inner excitement. Han Lao No, I've always waited for you. The elixir that Han Li took out for trading was exactly what Han Yang's he urgently needed. She was trying her best to sell the goods on her stall to Han Li. When she noticed Luo Hong's sight, she immediately turned sideways to block it like a hen protecting food. Luo Hong couldn't help but smile. He did not affect Han Li, and Han Yang's his first encounter, and always existed as a spectator. When Han Li successfully exchanged for the golden ZHU pen, and was about to turn around and leave, Luo Hong spoke, fellow Daoist, please stay. You bought these things to make talismans yourself. I happen to have some excellent talisman making materials here. Why don't you come and have a look? Han Li stopped. He had actually noticed Luo Hong standing beside him a long time ago, but he didn't recognize Huang Fenggu's clothes. He thought he was a wild and unruly rich young man like Wan Xiaoshan. This brother was as white as the 3MO family girls, which was really strange. Sorry, I just need some cinnabar. Looking at the talismans you put out, you shouldn't sell such low-level spiritual materials, right? Han Li had already glanced at Luo Hong's stall. The talismans on it were all exquisite products with full mana and powerful aura. After seeing them with envy, he was more determined to learn the art of talisman making. Haha, Daoist friend, what you said is absurd. Who says that cultivators who are good at making talismans don't use cinnabar? You know, cinnabar is matched with yellow talismans, and blood patterns are drawn on blue paper. The ink is in the tip of the pen, and the intention is to make dragons and snakes dance. You need to think twice before going, and regret it, because of greed in your heart. If you understand the meaning of this, the talisman will be made. Luo Hong laughed, and immediately composed a doggerel, based on his own experience in making talismans. Han Li thought the other party was incomprehensible at first, but the more he listened, the more he felt that these few lines of poetry were full of the principles of making talismans, which were completely incomparable to those dry talisman making methods he had read in books. He memorized the poem, and pondered it over several times before remembering that the stall owner was still waiting for his reply. He immediately bowed his hands in shame and said, "Thank you for your advice. I have benefited a lot. However, I have nothing else to trade except some low-level elixirs. I wonder if you are interested in it." Han Li completely regarded Luo Hong as an immortal cultivator who was proficient in making talismans. He did not hide his identity as a beginner in making talismans and asked humbly, yes, I have a can of Moyan Frog Monster blood. If you offer a bottle of Jinsu pills in exchange, I will add some yellow talisman paper and cinnabar. A dozen green talisman papers are priced at 1 spirit stone in exchange for 1 elixir. You can have as many as you want. Luo Hong filled the stall with various talisman making materials. He thought that Han Leomo, who was eager to learn about the world of immortal cultivation at this time, was easy to make friends with. He would feel that he benefited a lot from just a few words of cultivation experience. After he joined Huangfeng Valley, there would be no such good thing. Taking 2 bottles of golden marrow pills from Han Li, Luo Hong checked the medicinal properties. Wow, the golden marrow pill, which should have similar medicinal properties to the yellow dragon pill, actually has 10 medicinal strengths. I'm afraid that the cultivation of the 2 main ingredients has exceeded 100 years. Han Leomo, you are worthy of it. Luo Hong happily covered the bottle cap and reminded Han Li, who was collecting a pile of talisman making materials, Dao is a beginner in talisman making, and failure is inevitable. Monster blood is expensive. It is recommended to use it after successful practice. During the practice stage, it is most suitable to use the combination of green talisman paper and cinnabar. This will not affect the success rate and can save a lot of costs. I see. My surname is Han, and my name is Li. I'm a casual cultivator in the mountains. Thank you for your guidance today. Han Li thought he had met another pure-minded family cultivator like Wanzai, and he took the initiative to report his name with gratitude. My name is Luo Hong. That means Hong, which means long-lasting energy, not the light red with Macup. You're exaggerating a lot about your guidance. These are the common sense of talisman making. Although they are not recorded in books, basically all the immortal cultivators who have learned the art of talisman making know them. Fellow Daoist, there is no need to be so serious. Luo Hong was delighted. His first step in making friends with old Demon Han was a success. Chapter 37 Seduction. Han Li silently remembered Luo Hong's name and felt a little bitter because of his words. Immortal cultivators with a master are different. I'm afraid that even with the help of Xiraping, I will inevitably waste my life. But the Ascension Conference is so terrifying. If I participate now, it will be the same as sending myself to death. Should I wait another 10 years? Han Li didn't know that he had the Ascension Order yet, and because of Luo Hong's words, he was more yearning for the 7 major sects, and he was melancholy for a while. Dao, are you leaving now? Luo Hong saw Han Li putting away his things and was about to leave and called him again. Brother Luo, I really have nothing to exchange. Han Li smiled bitterly, wondering why Luo Hong had to focus on him alone to do business. Although I still have a lot of Huanglangdan and Jinsu pills, it is not advisable to take them out for trading in a short period of time. Otherwise it will definitely attract the attention of those who are interested. The first taboo in the world is to show off your wealth. Brother Han, I think you are also an honest person. Here is a junior mid-level talisman. If you promise to help me do something, this talisman will be your reward. Luo Hong took off the talisman on his left shoulder and placed it in front of Han Li. Brother Luo, you are not kidding, right? Han Li was surprised and alert at the same time. A junior mid-level talisman would cost at least 8 or 9 spirit stones, and the one in front of him was obviously not an ordinary junior mid-level talisman. It was probably worth about 12 spirit stones. I think that Wu Pinggu will cry out to the sky and want to kill the whole family of the profiteer if she lost 6 spirit stones. Why is this person willing to spend so much money for a promise of mine? Could it be that he has tampered with this talisman to locate my whereabouts? Brother Han, the medicinal properties of these pills you gave me are full. It is obvious that they are made from spiritual herbs that have been cultivated for more than 100 years. I believe you must have searched hard in the deep mountains and old forests for them. Most of the spiritual herbs used in the yellow dragon pill and the golden marrow pill only require a few decades of cultivation. They may be rare treasures for mortals, but for immortal cultivators who can fly and ignore wild beasts and poisonous fog, as long as they spend some time, they will always have the opportunity to pick them. So Han Li did not avoid it at the moment and directly followed Luo Hong's words and admitted it. What I want to entrust to Brother Han is not difficult. I just hope that when you go into the mountains to collect herbs in the future, help me pay attention to whether there are lotus spiritual herbs that have been cultivated for more than 500 years. If you are lucky enough to find one, even if it is not old enough, I hope that Brother Han will give it priority to me. Luo Hong placed all his hopes of obtaining the pure lotus pill on Han Li. If this plan failed, he could only take the Foundation establishment pill reluctantly. What if we haven't found it yet? Harley didn't expect Luo Hong's request to be so simple. As long as he agreed, he could really get a primary or intermediate talisman. That's naturally my bad luck, so I can't blame others. I have always had few opportunities, and I'm afraid that I will fail Brother Luo's trust. Brother Luo should. Han Li thought for a moment and felt that he should not take risks for a primary or intermediate talisman, so he chose to refuse. Brother Han, don't rush to refuse. Let's see how effective my talisman is first. Miss, you have seen enough of the excitement. Can you help me? Luo Hong said to Han Yunsky, who had been watching the show for a long time. I still have to set up a stall, so I don't have time. What can I do for you? Tell me. Han Yunsky caught a piece of spirit stone thrown by Luo Hong and immediately agreed with an enthusiastic attitude. Cast a low-level 5 element spell to hit me. Luo Hong spread his hands and signaled Han Yunsky to go ahead. Are you sure? Han Yunsky said that she had never heard such a ridiculous request before, and she couldn't help but suspect that there was something wrong with her ears or Luo Hong's brain. Well, come on, don't show mercy. Okay then. Although the low-level 5 element spells were not very lethal, Han Yunsky still aimed the wooden marrow spell at Luo Hong's feet. A green light flashed, and when the wooden marrow approached Luo Hong's body, he actually raised his head to drink without doing anything. But at this time, the rune pattern of the talisman on Luo Hong's right shoulder lit up, and without any delay, a layer of water shield transformed by spiritual energy was opened, easily blocking the wooden marrow that was shot. You will understand, this talisman is called the Spirit Water Bodyguard. After I improved it a little, it can now spontaneously open the Spirit Water Shield when it encounters an attack. It is an excellent talisman to resist sneak attacks. Luo Hong looked complacent, holding the talisman between his fingers and showing it off in front of the two. Han Li was secretly shocked. This Spirit Water Amulet was amazing, but this Brother Luo was even more powerful. The effect of preventing sneak attacks alone was enough to make the Spirit Water Amulet comparable to the primary and high-level talismans. Seeing Han Li's face full of entanglement, Luo Hong knew that the bait he threw out had worked. As a cautious person, Luo Hong naturally understood what would attract Han Li's attention the most. Brother from Huangfeng Valley, I will return this spiritual stone to you. Can you give me this talisman? I can also help you find spiritual medicine. Han Li was not the only one who was envious. Han Yunsky was planning to participate in the Ascension Conference. Although she had spiritual beasts to help her, she was very fragile and needed a talisman like the Spirit Water Amulet to save her life. He is a disciple of Huangfeng Valley? Han Li's eyes turned from the talisman to Luo Hong's face, and he looked at him very carefully, as if he wanted to get to know him again. I'm afraid that the girl is from a family of immortal cultivators like me. She has been spoiled since childhood, and should not have gone to the mountains to collect herbs. Although Luo Hong did not say it directly, the refusal in her words could not be more obvious. I have never collected herbs, but I'm not spoiled either. I also have my own skills. Han Yunsky stomped her feet in dissatisfaction and said with a little resentment, you can trust the silly little brother Zhao before, and you can also trust this big brother Han. Why can't you trust me? I really need this talisman. As long as you are willing to exchange it, you can choose whatever you want from my stall. Oh. Brother Luo entrusted it to someone else before. The information revealed in Han Yunsky's words made Han Li's doubts disappear, and he became more and more eager for the spiritual water amulet. However, Han Yunsky's pleading reminded Han Li of the scene when his little sister pestered him for red fruits when she was young, and he felt pity for her. No, I can't give it up. This amulet is related to my life. I can't be soft-hearted. Han Li gritted his teeth and was about to snatch the spiritual water amulet. But at this time, Luo Hong took out another spiritual water amulet from the storage bag, which made Han Li swallow the words that were about to rise to his throat. Miss, can you tell me your name? My name is Han Yunsky. I'm no longer a cultivator from the Zhuxan family. I'm now a casual cultivator. Han Yunsky thought of her deceased parents and couldn't help showing a look of grief. Chapter 38, The Dawn of the Dance Spider. Miss Han, I can give you a spiritual water amulet, and I don't want anything from your stall. Really? Han Yunzi was pleasantly surprised by Luo Hong's words, but then she thought of something, and her fair neck flushed. Miss, do you know how to control spiritual beasts? Luo Hong changed his words, of course, not because he fell into a beauty trap. He had already noticed the spiritual beast bag on Han Yunzi's waist. And from the fact that Han Yunzi was at the 8th level of key refining and could pass the Ascension Conference, the spiritual beasts she raised must be quite powerful. So don't think that Han Yunzi is easy to bully just because she looks weak. At this stage, Han Liu Mo is probably not her opponent without a talisman. When he thought of spiritual beasts, Luo Hong remembered that he still had something to deal with for a long time, which was just right for Han Yunzi to do. My ancestors were disciples of the Spirit Beast Mountain, and controlling spirit beasts is exactly what I'm good at, but I won't sell Ziohei. Han Yunzi covered her spirit beast bag, and took a step back slightly, obviously having a deep affection for the spirit beasts she raised. Miss Han, since you know how to control spirit beasts, I have another favor to ask of you, and I will also use the spirit water amulet as an advance payment. Luo Hong took out 2 black spider eggs with blood patterns from her arms and explained, these 2 monster beast eggs are cursed. Miss Han is proficient in the art of controlling beasts, so she should be able to help me think of a way to remove it. This is a blood curse handed down from generation to generation. Brother, you are lucky. If it was someone else, there would probably be no way, but it is not difficult for me. Ziohei, come out. When Han Yunzi saw the blood patterns on the spider eggs, the little guilt in her heart for taking advantage of them immediately disappeared. She took the spiritual water amulet with peace of mind and patted the spirit beast bag to summon a black ball of fur. The ball of fur spread out when it landed on the ground. In the blink of an eye, a wolf-like and dog-like spirit beast with black skin, bloody teeth, and a red mark between its eyebrows appeared in front of the 3 people. Although the spirit beast was small in size, it looked very majestic as soon as it appeared, scanning the surroundings with cold eyes. However, this majesty did not last long. When Ziohei confirmed that there was no danger around, he immediately stuck out a tongue and foolishly swirled around Han Yunzi's feet. Ziohei, stop playing, come and lick this. Han Yunzi put a Dan spider egg next to Ziohei's mouth and let it lick it again and again with its tongue. Soon, the blood mark on the Dan spider egg faded slightly. It really works. Brother Luo, just wait for good news. I will use Ziohei's saliva to prepare an antidote to remove the blood curse as soon as possible. Han Yunzi smiled cleverly and put Ziohei, who was still reluctant to leave, back into the spirit beast bag. That's great, but I want to remind Miss Han that, after preparing the antidote, don't remove the blood pattern on any of the monster eggs, otherwise something bad may happen. After tens of thousands of years of evolution, the Dan spider has already reached a delicate balance with the burning blood totem. When this balance is broken, the spirit dragon secret pattern is created in Luo Hong's hands. When this broken balance appears on the Dan spider, Luo Hong doesn't know what changes will occur, but it is certain that the movement will not be small. Brother Luo, I know the rules. If these 2 monster eggs were not suppressed by the blood curse, they should have hatched long ago. I will not hatch them privately and let you miss the best opportunity to sign the blood contract. Han Yunzi didn't know that she had misunderstood and followed Luo Hong's example to stick the spirit water amulet on her shoulder. Miss Han, it's fine if you understand it this way. After the matter is done, I will give you another generous reward. Luo Hong didn't know the real reason, so he just accepted it. Then he said to Han Li, who had been listening carefully for a long time, Brother Han, what do you think? I'm willing to give it a try, but Brother Luo, don't have too high expectations. Han Li had already made a decision. When Luo Hong asked, he answered casually, and he was still thinking about what he had just seen. Spirit beast bag, monster beast egg, blood curse handed down from generation to generation, and what are the conventional rules? Very good, I have learned a lot of knowledge about the world of immortal cultivation. Han Li was secretly delighted with his rapidly growing knowledge. He had been wanting to leave just now, but now he was reluctant to leave. After waiting for a while, Seeing that Luo Hong and Han Yunzi were no longer talking, he turned around and left with great regret, and at the same time, he attached the spirit water amulet to the inside of his robe. Luo Hong, who was observing secretly, could not help but click his tongue. As expected of Han Lao Mo, who put the word Guo first, he knew it by himself that it was best to hide in the dark to deal with sneak attacks. Unlike the naive Han Yunzi, who simply followed Luo Hong and stuck it on his shoulder. You know, Luo Hong has two talismans, one bright and one dark. The bright one can scare away those who are not strong enough, and the dark one can help him kill strong enemies. Han Yunzi made 2 big deals in a row, and she no longer wanted to continue selling her eggs. She packed up the stall, said goodbye to Luo Hong, and went back to practice. Luo Hong was not in a hurry to leave. His cultivation was temporarily stuck because of the pure lotus pill, which allowed him to concentrate on studying the new resident in his dinshan. In this way, in the next 10 days of the Tainan small meeting, Luo Hong seemed to be lying on the armchair leisurely and drinking. When someone came to ask about the price, he would just answer casually. However, due to his fair prices, the quality of his talismans was surprisingly high, and his unique style and the clothes of a disciple of the Yellow Maple Valley, he gradually became famous in the stall square. Many masters of the 11th and 12th levels of the key refining stage came to him to buy talismans. They were all people who were preparing to participate in the Ascension Conference. They only looked at the quality of the goods and would accept the price as long as it was not deliberately ripped off. On the last day of the small conference, Luo Hong counted on his fingers and found that he had earned more than 200 spirit stones, which could buy a good high-level magic weapon. Just as Luo Hong was closing his stall, a very arrogant voice came. "Fellow Daoist from the Yellow Maple Valley, please go slowly. Sell me some of the spirit wine in your gourd." Luo Hong took a look and immediately recognized the other party from his clothes as a cultivator from the Yan family of Guayu Mountain. The Yan family of Guayu Mountain is the most powerful family in the cultivation world of the Yu Kingdom. There is an old ancestor in the Chindan stage in the family, who always wanders between the 7 major sects. It seems that the family has gained all the benefits, and is in great glory, because of the 7 sects' solicitation. But in fact, it is under the joint suppression of the 7 sects, and the family power has basically no possibility of further development. However, most of the low-level cultivators under his sect cannot see through this, so they often do not have the confidence of the disciples of the 7 sects, but they have to put on the airs of the disciples of the 7 sects. They have a very bad reputation among the casual cultivators, and there are many conflicts with the low-level disciples of the 7 sects. There are plenty of talismans, but I don't have enough spiritual wine to drink myself, so I won't sell it. Are you kidding? How can Yulong wine be sold openly? Exclamation mark. I'm afraid that all the cultivators in the Chindan stage will have to come to the door. Luo Hong also dared to drink it in front of others, because the Jade Dragon gourd and the secret pattern of the Spirit Dragon could seal the spiritual energy of the Jade Dragon wine. Are all the people of the Yan family so arrogant and ignorant of etiquette? At this time, Luo Hong appeared to be friendly on the surface, but he was actually ready to raise the price of the talismans. Chapter 39, Unjust Disaster. How could we, the Yan family cultivators, be interested in a mere elementary or intermediate talisman? The same goes for your spiritual wine. We left in a hurry this time, otherwise why would we want to buy your inferior product with little spiritual energy? The Yan family female cultivator, who was not young and wearing heavy makeup, was really rude, and the word disdain was almost written on her face. The Yan family male cultivator next to her frowned and stared at Luo Hong with dissatisfaction, as if he had been greatly offended. Haha, I'll take my leave. The murderous intent in Luo Hong's eyes flashed, and he didn't want to say another word to the two of them, so he turned around and left. Who knew that the Yan family male cultivator had such a violent temper, and he offered a magic weapon to Luo Hong, who had his back to him without saying a word. The spiritual water amulet was instantly activated, and the water shield transformed by spiritual energy blocked the attack. Luo Hong turned around with a gloomy face, just in time to meet a pair of bloodthirsty and crazy eyes. Ouch. A fight has started. Hurry up and leave. Hurry up and inform the seniors who organize the meeting that someone is causing trouble. In the 10-foot radius surrounding Luo Hong and the Yan family, the casual cultivators ran away in a few breaths. Good talisman, Taoist friend, sell it to me too. Don't even think about it. Even a clayman can get angry. Although this person seems to be mentally ill, this is not his reliance for reckless behavior. Luo Hong is not afraid of a fight. Dao I are so brave. Take another hit from my thunder hammer. The male cultivator of the Yan family was easily enraged. His magic power surged wildly, and the lightning on his magic weapon crackled. He was about to use all his strength to attack. The opponent had the cultivation level of the 11th level of key refining, and the magic weapon he drove was extraordinary. Luo Hong did not dare to underestimate the enemy, and first activated the hidden Vajra talisman. The golden spiritual light immediately merged with the water spirit cover. With the combination of gold and water, the defense ability was more than doubled. Then, regardless of the opponent's thunder hammer magic weapon, he made hand gestures and used water bullets to shoot at its body. Boom. The thunder hammer hit the golden water spirit cover, and there was a dull sound of hammer hitting a heavy drum. The golden water spirit cover was seen rippling layer by layer, instantly dispersing the force to every corner, and the thunder hammer only sank a few inches to resolve the attack. On the other side, Luo Hong's continuous water bullets were also blocked by the male cultivator of the Yan family, and only a group of spiritual water mist exploded around him. Dao, your magic is so poor. Take the opportunity to ridicule as much as you can now, or you will be unable to open your mouth soon. Luo Hong silently clamped a primary and intermediate ice wind talisman between his fingers, and just as he was about to activate it, he felt the manner of multiple foundation building cultivators approaching. The three of them looked up at the sky at the same time, and saw three foundation building cultivators, one purple, one white, and one yellow, coming together. Yan Kuang, Yan Zhao, the Ascension Conference is coming, and you still have the mind to make trouble. The purple clothed one is a cultivator of the Yan family. As soon as he came, he defined Yan Kuang's sneak attack as a joke, and it was clear that he wanted to protect him. Yan Zhao, how is my basic sword control method in Huadao Wu? Do you need your uncle to teach you a thing or two? The white clothed cultivator is a foundation building cultivator in Huadao Wu. From what he said, Yan Zhao is already the winner of the Ascension Conference in their Huadao Wu. The three people had a conflict, and two of them had found a backer. There was no doubt that, if Luo Hong didn't do something, he would be held accountable. The foundation building female cultivator of Huangfeng Valley was much younger than Yan Zhao. At this time, her expression was erratic, as if her mind had already gone elsewhere, and she didn't care whether Luo Hong, a key refining disciple, was punished. Uncle Junior, I'm Luo Hong. How is Uncle Liu doing in seclusion? Are you the key refining disciple that senior brother 3 values? You have become quite famous in the sect recently, but this is the first time I have seen you. You have practiced the key retaining technique quite well. Even I cannot detect your magical aura. Zhang Weiniang is a very famous cultivation genius in Huangfeng Valley. She successfully established her foundation at the age of 16. Now she is the 7th disciple under Li Huoyuan at the age of 24. It's just a common name, not as good as Uncle Junior and Uncle Liu. Luo Hong bowed and smiled bitterly. He did hear that someone was saying that he was the richest key refining disciple in Huangfeng Valley, but he never thought that it had already been heard by the immortal cultivators in the foundation building stage, which was not a good thing. So you are brother Liu Jing's man. You can't judge a person by appearance. I think this matter is just a misunderstanding and there is no need to pursue it. Well, I have to give brother Liu face. Let's leave it at that. The foundation building cultivators of Huadao Wu and the Yan family relied on their cultivation in the middle stage of foundation building and completely ignored Zhang Weiniang. They talked about Liu Jing all the time. If it were other cultivators of Huangfeng Valley, they would have been furious, but Zhang Weiniang looked overjoyed. Luo Hong knew that Zhang Weiniang was deeply in love with Liu Jing, but she didn't know that she had reached such a brainless level. It was estimated that she was just one step away from having a demon in her heart. Although the current handling method was very unfair to Luo Hong, under the joint oppression of the Yan family and Huadao Wu, Luo Hong didn't dare to ask for too much. It was good enough to protect himself. Nephew Luo, you are here to watch the Ascension Conference, right? Then come with me and tell me about the time when my third brother killed the evil cultivator in the middle stage of foundation building at Xiangshan last time. Zhonghui Niang's beautiful eyes turned, and she said with a cunning tone, Junior obeys your command. Luo Hong's original plan included watching the Ascension Conference. After all, this is the closest to a life and death arena competition, and it is a great opportunity to collect data on the battles of cultivators. However, since he unexpectedly met Zhonghui Niang, there is one more thing he can do. Luo Hong followed Zhonghui Niang and flew for a while, and then arrived at the venue of the Ascension Conference. 7 arenas made of simple earth and stone are located in the middle, surrounded by exquisite buildings. The largest one is where the foundation building disciples of the 7 major sects judge, and the smaller ones are where the foundation building cultivators of the major cultivation families watch the battle. Zhonghui Niang took Luo Hong and flew straight to a building on the west side. When they landed at a red table on the roof, she asked Luo Hong to sit down next to her. This surprised Luo Hong very much. As a key refining disciple, he should not sit at the same table with a foundation establishment cultivator, especially since there were 4 other foundation establishment cultivators sitting around the table, 2 of whom were wearing purple robes from the Yan family. However, Zhonghui Niang's eyes were not only firm, but also threatening. Luo Hong could only sit down. Then he immediately felt several divine consciousnesses sweeping over him without any concealment. If a cultivator of the same level had such a move, it would not be too much to fight immediately, but the other party was a foundation establishment cultivator, so Luo Hong could only hold back. Junior Sister Zhang, your key condensation technique is really unique. The disciples of the Yellow Maple Valley are indeed extraordinary. The tone of the Yan family foundation establishment male cultivator who spoke was extremely gentle. It was obvious that he did so intentionally. His intentions were obvious. HMPH, only a coward like a mouse would practice the key condensation technique to this extent. And he is still disheveled. How disgraceful. The other cultivator of the Yan family looked neither masculine nor feminine, and his voice was neither masculine nor feminine, which was really unpleasant. But no one present showed any displeasure, because this person's cultivation had reached the peak of the middle stage of foundation building, which was the highest among the people present. Luo Hong's eyes swept over the faces of the 2 Yan family members and Zhonghui Niang, and he immediately understood his role. Is dual cultivation so good? Exclamation mark. Chapter 40, The Yan Family and Magical Power. The situation was clear. The male cultivator from the Yan family, who spoke very well, had a crush on Zhonghui Niang, and he had probably been courting Zhonghui Niang before. The ambiguous cultivator from the Yan family was jealous, so let's just assume that she was a female cultivator. Zhonghui Niang ignored the 2 and immediately asked Luo Hong about Liu Jing's experience in Xiangshan. Luo Hong sighed helplessly. Don't you guys want to achieve Dan? Why are your minds full of love between men and women? If this continues, will there be a future for Ru Kingdom's cultivation world? Exclamation mark. Well, it seems that there is no future. In a few years, the 7 major sects will be defeated by the invasion of the demons. Although she was tired, Luo Hong couldn't stand seeing others blatantly trying to cheat on Liu Jing. The 2 chatted about Liu Jing for a long time. During this time, the male cultivator from the Yan family tried to interrupt several times, but failed due to the intervention of Zhonghui Niang. Perhaps he saw that he had no hope. When the Ascension Conference officially began, the male cultivator named Yan Xiaoyi seemed to have given up and drank the spiritual tea alone in a dejected manner. At this time, the ambiguous Yan Xiaoming came up to him, whispering and adding tea in a pretentious manner, which gave others goosebumps. As soon as Zhonghui Niang achieved her goal, she immediately let Luo Hong go and watched the fight on the ring with interest. It must be said that the people who built this building had some tricks. Luo Hong could easily see the situation on the 7 rings on the roof. The so-called Ascension Conference is a way for the 7 major sects to give casual cultivators away to obtain the foundation building pill. Each sect will provide 10 places. Those who successfully defend the ring can not only join the 7 major sects and become disciples of the sect from now on, but also get a precious foundation building pill and have the opportunity to leap into the Dragon Gate. For ordinary cultivators, such an opportunity is definitely worth risking their lives. In addition, there is no one to control it, so the casualties of each Ascension Conference are very heavy. The original intention of the Ascension Conference was to resolve the resentment of many independent cultivators against the 7 major sects' monopoly on the foundation building pills, but it has long since changed its nature. Luo Hong watched more than 10 fights in a row and found that most of the cultivators on the stage were from cultivation families, and they were the majority of the winners. Not long after, Luo Hong saw Han Yunzi on the stage of the Spirit Beast Mountain. The defender saw that his opponent was a little girl at the 8th level of key refining and laughed at him before the fight. But not long after the fight started, after Han Yunzi struggled to entangle the defender's magic weapon, Xiao Hei rushed out like a black lightning, tore open the defender's thin layer of protective aura, and bit his throat. Of course, the kind-hearted Han Yunzi did not order Xiao Hei to bite, but only forced the defender to admit defeat and let him go. Uncle Junior Master, do you know what kind of spiritual beast that is? Luo Hong had always been somewhat curious about Xiao Hei. Judging from its ability to restrain the blood curse, it should not be an ordinary spiritual beast. I don't know either. This spiritual beast has not grown up yet, and many of its features cannot be seen. But it is really fast. I think that girl can occupy a place in the spiritual beast mountain. Zhang Weiniang answered casually. A few hours later, the Ascension Conference came to an end. After watching many battles, Luo Hong found that the victory or defeat of the battles between key refining cultivators was mostly based on the quality of the magic tools. The talismans were only auxiliary, and there were very few examples of relying on talismans to defeat the enemy. As for spells, they were used even less, mainly because spells above the primary and intermediate levels had obvious casting time, which was very easy to reveal flaws in the battle of magic tools, and the power of primary and low-level spells was too low, so it was better to save mana for magic tools. Due to the high repetition rate, Luo Hong was bored and simply locked her eyes on Han Yunzi. The exquisite cooperation between her and Xiao Hei was still worth watching. Junior brother Luo, do you know that female cultivator? Zhang Weiniang suddenly asked, her eyebrows curved into a bright moon, as if she was secretly happy, as if she had discovered some secret. It was just a one-time encounter. I'm just interested in her spirit beast. Luo Hong told the truth. It was hard not to look at Xiao Hei's performance. Although Han Yunzi's later opponents consciously defended, Xiao Hei's speed was too fast. The defensive magic weapon could not keep up, the spiritual light shield could not stop it, and Han Yunzi kept harassing them, so they all died under the sharp teeth. Oh, just a one-time encounter? Zhang Weiniang looked at the same talisman on the shoulders of Luo Hong and Han Yunzi. Not only did she not believe it, but she was also a little envious. In the future, my third brother and I will also do this. After a while, more and more immortal cultivators got their places and were led to the surrounding buildings. The 7 major sects sent out to supervise the meeting were all foundation building disciples. For example, Huang Fenggu was led by a deputy leader in the late foundation building period, and he was the only one who really did anything. Zhang Weiniang and the other 2 foundation building disciples came purely to make friends with the disciples of other sects. Not only did they not have to work, but they could also eat and drink for free. The reason for this gap was that Zhang Weiniang and the others were all disciples of the elders in the Jiandan period of the sect, so it was naturally not their turn to do the hard work. At this time, a purple light flew out of the building of Huadao Wu and landed on the roof of Luo Hong's small building. The person who came was Yan Zhao, a heavily made up woman who had a grudge against Luo Hong. As soon as she came, she stood behind Yan Xiaming and called him auntie obediently. Very good, you finally didn't embarrass the Yan family. Sit down and have a cup of tea and rest. Yan Xiaming touched Yan Zhao's head lovingly and pushed his teacup in front of her. Thank you, aunt. With the foundation building pill, my brother Kuan and I will definitely be able to break through together. Then we won't embarrass you. When Yan Zhao said this, she looked at Luo Hong provocatively, as if to say that she would make Luo Hong suffer after she built her foundation. Luo Hong didn't want to pay attention, but the next moment he saw that Han Yun's last opponent was Yan Kuang, and he felt very bad. With Han Yun's temperament, she would probably suffer a loss against Yan Kuang, so he used the sound transmission technique to ask Zhang Weiniang, "Uncle Master, why are the Yan family members so weird, like demons practicing magic skills?" "Not like, they practice magic skills. The Yan Kuang below is practicing the angry face art, the Yan Zhao opposite you is practicing the cold yin art, and the neither yin nor yang Yan Xiaming is even more amazing. He is practicing the extremely evil yin-yang reversal art, and he has reached the stage where he must practice dual cultivation to improve his cultivation. He, Yan Shaoyi, who is cared for by Yan Xiaming in every way, is said to be his designated dual cultivation person. Just thinking about it makes people blush." "Blushing? Don't lie, you obviously look very interested. Nephew Luo, don't worry about that beautiful girl. Yan Kuang won't be a match for her spirit beast." Zhang Weiniang waved her hand and judged with her eyesight as a foundation building cultivator. "I hope so." Luo Hong was not at all relieved. A life and death fight was not just a competition of both sides fighting power. She hoped that Zhao Hei would be fine. Seeing that Luo Hong was still looking at the arena with a worried look after listening to her advice, Zhang Weiniang could not help but feel yearning. It would be great if third brother could look at me like this one day. Chapter 41, Killing Yan Kuang. Because both sides could get a place by winning the last match, the fight was extremely fierce from the beginning, and all the talismans that had been reserved were thrown out like spirit stones. Han Yunzi already had some family background, and this time she had given everything for the Ascension Conference, so she was not at all in vain in the bombardment. After hundreds of spirit stones exploded into fireworks, the fight really began. Yan Kuang's pair of thunder hammers were high-level magic weapons with extremely strong attack power. When they were still 10 feet away from Han Yunzi, they suddenly hit each other, and a thunderbolt shot out. However, Han Yunzi also had a killer hidden. She saw her offering a yellow silk handkerchief to block in front of her, and the thunderbolt from the thunder hammer did not even leave a scorch mark. Among the spectators, anyone with a little knowledge immediately recognized that the yellow silk handkerchief was a top-level magic weapon. However, Han Yunzi seemed to have only an intermediate black sword magic weapon to attack, so Yan Kuang was not completely without a chance. Zhao Hei had been wandering outside the battlefield, fainting from time to time. Although it is fast, its body is fragile. Han Yunzi will not let it really launch an attack unless it has a foolproof opportunity. The appearance of the top-level magic weapon made Yan Kuang's face change. He immediately recalled the thunder hammer, holding one in each hand, and suddenly roared. Yan Kuang's skin quickly turned red, and his body suddenly increased by 3 points, making his already tall body look like a small giant. The angry face skill he practiced was actually a domineering skill with the effect of refining the body. At this moment, Yan Kuang's hair was disheveled, and his face was hideous, like a Buddhist demon. With this appearance, he could scare those cultivators who were a little less courageous. Han Yunzi pursed her lips, without any of her usual weakness and shyness, and her eyes were full of determination. Yan Kuang strode over, obviously wanting to catch the floor in the yellow silk handkerchief's defense in close combat. How could Han Yunzi let him do as he wished? She took out a wind-controlling talisman and played a cat-and-mouse game with Yan Kuang. Even if he was caught up, he could still escape with the cooperation of Zhao Hei. After struggling for a while, blood was flowing out of Yan Kuang's 7 orifices. It was obvious that his skills were about to backfire, and he had reached the end of his strength. Han Yunzi just breathed a sigh of relief and saw Yan Kuang throw a thunder hammer with great force. He narrowly avoided it, and the thunder hammer hit the ring, exploding into a cloud of dust. Han Yunzi escaped a disaster, but still did not dare to relax her vigilance. Sure enough, another thunder hammer came from the side, just in time to be blocked by her yellow silk handkerchief. However, Yan Kuang's offensive was not over yet. His real killer move was hidden in the dust and flew close to the ground. It was a very weak poison needle. At this time, Yan Kuang thought that the only one who could rescue Han Yunzi was her spirit beast. However, Zhao Hei not only did not rescue her, but went around behind him and bit her fiercely. Han Yunzi did not make any defensive moves herself and drove the black sword to slash at Yan Kuang, cooperating with Zhao Hei to attack from both sides. The next moment, the poison needle was blocked by the self-activated spiritual water amulet as expected. On the other hand, Yan Kuang was already at the end of his rope, but he laughed wildly, regardless of the flying black sword, twisted his body to the extreme, and punched behind him. It turned out that he saw through Han Yunzi's kindness, and the black sword did not slash at his vitals, intending to fight to seriously injure her spirit beast and kill it. Even though Yan Kuang knew that it was basically impossible for him to win this fight, after being seriously injured, he was already dizzy with anger, and made a choice without hesitation. Han Yunzi's eyes widened, but he was completely powerless to prevent the tragedy from happening. Not good. On the building, Luo Hong was anxious, but he couldn't catch up with the rescue. Just when everything seemed irreversible, a red silk flew from the side and wrapped Zhao Hei. Yan Kuang's punch hit Hong Ling, but it didn't leave any marks. Instead, he was heavily bounced away, just avoiding the black flying sword. But Han Yunzi was completely enraged. Without thinking, she grabbed a handful of low-level thunder and fire talismans and threw them out. After a burst of fire and thunder, Yan Kuang was blasted to pieces. Brother Kuang. Yan Zhao stood up quickly, very quickly. It was Zhang Weiniang who rescued Zhao Hei, but she didn't expect Han Yunzi to kill Yan Kuang in anger. Girl surnamed Zhang, what do you mean? Yan Ziuming's tone was extremely cold, and his eyes were fixed on Zhang Weiniang, and he was determined to make her give an explanation. I don't know what you are talking about. Zhang Weiniang knew she was in the wrong, but refused to admit defeat. She glanced at him and started to cheat. Anyway, as Li Huoyuan's disciple, the other party couldn't do anything to her. Yan Ziuming was extremely angry, but he had no way to deal with Zhang Weiniang for a while. After all, Zhang Weiniang only rescued a spirit beast. Although Yan Kuang was seriously injured by the backlash, he also avoided the black flying sword, which was considered a draw. The real murderer was about to join the Spirit Beast Mountain, which had the worst relationship with the Yan family. Moreover, this incident happened in the life and death arena. It was impossible for the Yan family to ask for an explanation from the Spirit Beast Mountain. Despite this matter was definitely not so simple to let go. Yan Ziuming quickly moved his eyes to Luo Hong. Alas, he really couldn't avoid it. Yan Kuang's death had little to do with Luo Hong. Although Zhang Weiniang took action because of him, people who didn't know the inside story would never see this. But could Luo Hong deny it? Could he put all the blame on Zhang Weiniang? This was obviously a foolish act of destroying his own backing, so instead of being forced by others, it would be better for Luo Hong to take the initiative now. Senior Yan, junior uncle only took action because I was asked by you. If there is any punishment, please punish me. Luo Hong stood up and bowed. Luo Hong's statement greatly improved Zhang Weiniang's favor towards him, and also made Yan Ziuming and Yan Zhao more angry. On the stage, Han Yunzi stood there for a while, after killing Yan Kuang, and then looked in the direction where Hong Ling flew away. She happened to see Luo Hong bowing and apologizing, and immediately understood what happened. Although she knew that Luo Hong's help this time was mostly for the matter he entrusted to her, she was still very grateful in her heart, worried about the punishment Luo Hong might take, and regretted her reckless act of killing Yan Kuang. You know, Zhao Hei is a hybrid spirit beast that her parents have spent their entire lives to cultivate. Whether it is strong or not is secondary. The key is that Zhao Hei has grown up with Han Yunzi since childhood and has become an existence in her life that is no less than her own brother. Han Yunzi wanted to share some of the punishment for Luo Hong, but the disciples of Lingxiao Mountain could not wait and took him back to the huge building of Lingxiao Mountain without explanation. Okay, since you have admitted it, why don't you quickly destroy your cultivation? Do you want me to do it myself? Yan Ziuming used his magic power to the extreme and immediately made Luo Hong's breathing feel upside down and disordered, which showed its power. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 42, Castrated version of Oolong wine. It is impossible for a junior to abandon his cultivation. Why don't I offer 3 cups of wine to calm the anger of the senior? Luo Hong's mind moved, and a white jade wine cup and a small wine pot with a spirit sealing talisman flew out of his storage bag. Boy, you are actually making fun of me. Do you really think I dare not kill you? Yan Xiuming was furious. How could a mere spirit wine get rid of him? It was obvious that Luo Hong was playing a trick on him. Senior, you will naturally not kill me after drinking it. Luo Hong tore off the spirit sealing talisman swiftly, and the rich spiritual energy fluctuations made everyone present luck sideways. What Luo Hong took out was naturally not the authentic Jade Dragon wine, but the product of his experiment before refining the Jade Dragon wine. But each sip also contained spiritual energy equivalent to 60 medicinal strength. This small pot only had 10 sips, but the spiritual energy contained was equivalent to that of the key gathering pill. Of course, in terms of improving cultivation, the key gathering pill is still better. After all, the speed at which the spiritual wine releases spiritual energy is too fast, which is much more difficult to absorb than the elixir. No foundation building cultivator can ignore the key gathering pill. Yan Kuang is just a key refining clan member after all. If Yan Xiuming can use his life to exchange for a few pots of spiritual wine equivalent to the key gathering pill, Yan Xiuming will definitely not hesitate. No matter what stage of the cultivator, the most important thing is their own cultivation. Luo Hong saw through this point, so he was sure that he could calm Yan Xiuming's anger. Senior, please drink this first cup. Luo Hong filled the white jade wine cup and handed it to Yan Xiuming respectfully, making a full attitude of apology. Aren't you? Seeing that Yan Xiuming really reached out to take it, Yan Zhao, who was unclear with Yan Kuang, shouted unwillingly. Xiao, don't worry, aunt. I will drink 2 cups of it at most. Today, I will destroy this kid's cultivation for you. Yan Xiuming said harsh words, but his actions of drinking were very smooth. As the wine entered his throat, a refreshing feeling of coolness flowed through Yan Xiuming's internal organs. After the wine entered his stomach, a fierce hot feeling accompanied by the exploding spiritual energy swept through Yan Xiuming's body. The taste was really wonderful. What surprised Yan Xiuming even more was that in the alternation of cold and heat in his body, he actually found that he had realized a little bit of the secret of yin and yang conversion. This is of great benefit to his cultivation. Senior, this second cup. Don't talk nonsense, pour it quickly. Yan Xiuming was anxious to grasp the fleeting secret of yin and yang, and urged Luo Hong to pour the wine with red eyes. Soon, after the second cup of wine was drunk, Yan Xiuming felt that he was only one step away from success. He had long forgotten what he had said before, and put the empty wine glass in front of Luo Hong. Aunt, this third cup can't be drunk. If Yan Xiuming drank this third cup, it would mean that he accepted Luo Hong's proposal, and Yan Kuang's death would be completely revealed. How could Yan Zhao not be anxious? Get out of here. Boy, pour the wine. Yan Xiuming swung his sleeves and swept away his niece, whom he loved so much, like garbage. While Luo Hong was pouring the wine, he was also surprised by Yan Xiuming's crazy behavior. It stands to reason that this pot of castrated Jade Dragon wine would attract the attention of the Foundation establishment cultivators, but it would never reach such a fanatical level. Although the reason was unclear, it did not prevent Luo Hong from raising the price. Originally, he wanted to use 2 or 3 pots of spirit wine to exchange for Yan Kuang's life, but now it seems that not only 1 pot is enough, but he can also get some benefits. Sure enough, after drinking the third cup, Yan Xiuming had no intention of stopping at all. He stared at the wine pot in Luo Hong's hand. If he hadn't been concerned about Zhang Weiniang's presence, he would have definitely snatched it away at this moment. Boy, give me the wine pot in your hand, and I won't bother you about Yan Kuang's death. The greed in Yan Xiuming's eyes almost solidified. I have used up all my spiritual stones to brew this spiritual wine. I originally intended to give it to my master and elders. 3 cups is the limit. Seeing that Yan Xiuming's face was getting more and more sinister, Luo Hong felt that the time had come. so he quickly changed the subject. But if you insist on asking for it, it's not impossible. I have heard that the Yan family is good at refining instruments, so I dare to ask you for a top quality magic instrument. It doesn't have to be too good, as long as it can increase the power of water magic. Yan Xiuming's face was cold at first, but then he smiled again. My Yan family's refining skills are the best in Yu State, and they are not much worse than the divine weapons sect of Yuan Wu State. Boy, wait, I'll be back soon. After saying that, he turned into a long rainbow and broke through the air. Luo Hong repasted the sealing talisman, breathed a sigh of relief and sat down. It was not an easy task to bargain with a cultivator whose cultivation was far higher than his own. Nephew Luo, you just said that this spiritual wine is to be presented to the elders of the sect, so am I your elder? Zhang Weiniang's beautiful eyes were full of surprise. She saw Yan Xiuming's fanatical behavior clearly, but she was very greedy at the moment. Of course, even if junior uncle doesn't help today, I will visit you and offer you spiritual wine in the future. Luo Hong took out a new wine pot and placed it in front of Zhang Weiniang. Junior uncle please, this is what I prepared for you, and in addition, a jar with a capacity 5 or 6 times larger than the small wine pot appeared in front of Zhang Weiniang, with 3 spiritual sealing talismans pasted on it. This is Uncle Liu's share, please pass it on to me. In comparison, Zhang Weiniang suddenly felt a little jealous. Third senior brother really did protect you in vain, but don't forget my master. After putting the spiritual wine away, Zhang Weiniang kindly reminded. Of course, but it will take some time for the ancestor to get his share. When the time comes, I will ask my junior uncle to take me to see the ancestor. No problem. Zhang Weiniang agreed casually. Luo Hong was secretly happy. He was willing to risk exposing the Jade Dragon wine just for Zhang Weiniang's promise. At this point in time, Han Liuo should have been attacked by surprise. With my spiritual water amulet, his counterattack this time will not be as thrilling as before. You know, if Han Liuo had not learned the bone shrinking technique in the Jianghu strange arts, he would have almost died without even using the talisman flying sword. Han Liuo has always been clear about his grievances, and he urgently needs someone to help him after he joined the Yellow Maple Valley. So when Luo Hong meets him again, a lotus spiritual medicine of sufficient age is likely to be indispensable. But with a spiritual medicine, does it mean that Luo Hong's transaction with the veiled woman of the moon shaking sect can be successfully completed? If Luo Hong really thought so, he would be too naive. Fairness in the world of immortal cultivation only exists between immortals of the same level. Besides, obtaining the ancient recipe of the pure lotus pill is not Luo Hong's purpose, so he will inevitably have to argue with him. Therefore, Luo Hong wanted to please Li Huoyuan, so that he could use his tiger skin to ensure that the transaction went in the direction he planned. The conversation between Luo Hong and Zhang Weiniang woke up the other 2 foundation building cultivators from the small immortal families present. Although they also coveted the castrated version of the Jade Dragon wine, they did not want to have a grudge with a great cultivator in the Jiangdan stage. They all have families and businesses in Yu State. If it were not for the shocking benefits, they would not take risks. Yan Xiaoyi, except for paying attention to the wine pot at the beginning, has been drinking tea in a depressed mood, and seems to have accepted his fate of dual cultivation with Yan Xiuming. In the future, the 2 chapters will be posted together to save trouble. Chapter 43 Junior Brother Han. Zheng left for a short while before flying back. Yan Xiuming threw a green bead to Luo Hong as soon as he landed. This bead is called the Green Water Bead. It contains the spirit of a top-level monster, the Green Water Crocodile. Anyone who uses this bead to cast water magic will have a trace of the power of 1 yuan heavy water in the magic, greatly increasing its power. The Green Water Bead is for you. Quickly give me the wine pot in your hand. With the things in hand, both parties got what they wanted. Yan Xiuming laughed sharply and couldn't wait to go back to practice in seclusion. Yan Xiaoyi stood up with a bitter smile, said goodbye to everyone, and followed him. Yan Zhao had already gone to the building of Huadao Wu in a daze. Getting the green water bead was an unexpected surprise. Luo Hong was very interested in the 1 yuan heavy water that Yan Xiuming mentioned, but it was obviously not a good opportunity to study this bead, so she had to suppress her curiosity. After the episode of the fight between Han Yunshe and Han Yunshe, there were no more unexpected situations in the Immortal Ascension Conference, and soon the 10 quotas for each of the 7 major sects were decided. Then, as expected, Han Luo, who had not appeared for many days, found the disciples of Huangfeng Valley with the Immortal Ascension Order. After causing some commotion, the disciples of Huangfeng Valley were taken back to Taiyu Mountains. Luo Hong naturally took a ride and returned to Huangfeng Valley. Report to the head. The disciple Han Li believes that his qualifications are inferior and voluntarily gives up the foundation building pill. That should be what he said. Luo Hong stood in a remote corner outside the Huangfeng Valley meeting hall, watching Han Luo, who tried his best to hide his unwillingness, leave with the old man surnamed Yi. Luo Hong never intervened in the matter of Han Luo being forced to buy the foundation building pill. Although it was not difficult to scare off an ordinary foundation building cultivator without the backing of a giant and elder with his relationship with Li Yujing, doing so would make him seem too attentive. After all, Han Luo owed Luo Hong the money, so it made no sense for the creditor to rush to help the debtor. On the other hand, Han Luo himself might not be willing to do so. At this time, he relied on the help of Xiaoping and thought that refining the foundation building pill was not difficult, so compared to offending a senior in the foundation building period in the sect, he would rather lose a foundation building pill in exchange for his peace of mind. A few days later, Luo Hong felt that Han Luo should have settled down in Beikao Garden, so he prepared to visit him. In order to visit Beikao Garden more often, Luo Hong spent more than 300 spirit stones to buy a 400-year-old wine fruit tree and entrusted it to Master Ma to cultivate. Brother Han, oh no, now I should call you Junior Brother Han. I didn't expect that the two of us are so destined to meet again in less than a month. After entering Beikao Garden and seeing Han Li who was taking care of the spiritual medicine, Luo Hong pretended to be surprised and amazed. Brother Luo, you are here to see your wine fruit tree, right? I never thought that you are not only proficient in making talismans, but also good at brewing spirit wine. This wine fruit is notoriously difficult to refine. Because Master Ma had specifically told him so, Han Li was not surprised at Luo Hong's visit. If it weren't difficult to refine, the wine fruit tree with 400 years of cultivation wouldn't be sold so cheaply. Luo Hong bought it back to explain the origin of his high quality spirit wine. All the wine fruits produced so far are well kept in his storage bag. Not proficient yet. By the way, I heard a few days ago that a casual cultivator named Han entered the sect with the Ascension Order. Could it be you, Brother Han? Luo Hong asked knowingly. Yes, brother. When Luo Hong mentioned the Ascension Order, Han Li couldn't help but think of the foundation building pill he had lost, but he had already mastered the ability to hide his emotions. Although he was depressed, he greeted Luo Hong with a friendly face and sat down to drink tea. So, it is you, Junior Brother Han, who was forced to sell the foundation building pill. Luo Hong was talking about something that was not meant to be. Even with Han Li's temperament, he paused when his wounds were exposed so directly. I was not forced. I volunteered. Han Li explained in a self-deceiving way. Haha, Junior Brother Han, there is no need to hide in front of me. The foundation building pill is something that every key refining stage cultivator regards as life. In addition, there is only one place in the Yu Kingdom's cultivation world to obtain the spiritual medicine needed for the foundation building pill, and it can only be entered and exited once every 5 years. Therefore, the production of this foundation building pill is extremely limited. If you take one, you will have one less. It is impossible for someone to voluntarily sell it. Speaking of spiritual medicine, have you found any clues about the Lotus spiritual medicine that I asked Junior Brother to find last time? Luo Hong deliberately revealed that the spiritual medicine needed for the foundation building pill could only be obtained in a limited place. While drinking tea, he secretly glanced at Han Li and saw that his expression was abnormal, which was very unexpected. When asked about the Lotus elixir, Han Li hesitated for a moment, then seemed to have made up his mind, and said with a bow, Brother Luo, please wait. Yes, old demon Han, I underestimated your caution before. If I didn't force you with the foundation building pill, you really didn't intend to take out this elixir. Soon, Han Li came back with a jade box, opened the lid, and inside was a white lotus elixir with a cultivation base of about 600 years. It was indeed the most common righteous lotus, but 600 years of cultivation was more than enough. Brother Luo, it's a coincidence that after the Tainan meeting ended that day, I was chased by 2 unknown casual cultivators alone. Although I escaped by chance with my talisman, I fell off a cliff. This lotus was found in the pool at the bottom of the cliff. Han Li made up a story seriously, and Luo Hong listened seriously. It doesn't matter what you make up, old demon Han. Anyway, as long as you dare to make it up, I, Luo Hong, will believe it. Great. So this lotus is really meant for me. Junior brother Han, what do you want to exchange it for? Spirit stones, magic tools, and talismans are all fine. Just ask. Luo Hong was really overjoyed. With this 600-year-old lotus, his foundation for the great Dao would hopefully be perfectly laid. Senior brother Luo, if possible, I want to exchange it for a recipe for a pill that can help key refining cultivators increase their cultivation. Han Li had long felt that the effects of the yellow dragon pill and the golden marrow pill were getting worse and worse, and he urgently needed to change to a new pill. Okay, this is the recipe for the Kihi pill. Junior brother, take it. Luo Hong always planned before he acted. Knowing what Han Lao Mo needed at the moment, he naturally made some preparations. The recipe for a common pill like the Kihi pill was not very precious. Compared with the 600-year-old spiritual medicine, Luo Hong still made a small profit. Han Li was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect that the thing he had been asking for many years would be solved in an instant. He actually felt a sense of unreality. Seeing Han Li put away the recipe, Luo Hong stood up and pretended to say goodbye. This time it was Han Li's turn to stop him. Brother Luo, may I ask where can I get the spiritual medicine for refining the foundation building pill? Why do I have to go in and out once every 5 years? There was nothing to hide. Luo Hong immediately told Han Li about the bloody Forbidden Land and the important news that the Forbidden Land would be sealed for 60 years after it was opened next time. Han Li was shocked and was very glad that he learned about this during the conversation with brother Luo, otherwise he would probably have waited for 60 years in vain. This brother Luo seemed to be a good person, so let's take a look. Chapter 44, The Combat Power of Immortal Cultivators. Brother Han, you don't have to be discouraged for losing a foundation building pill. In addition to the way I just mentioned, entering the Blood Forbidden Land to participate in the trial, there is another way to obtain foundation building pills in the sect, which is to participate in the sect's competition held every 10 years. As long as you are under 30 years old and enter the top 2 or 300, you can get a foundation building pill after the competition. The specific ranking depends on how many foundation building pills the sect's senior leaders are willing to release. Although these 2 methods are extremely difficult, they are much better than when you were a casual cultivator and there was no way to get in. Luo Hong completely took on the role of his senior brother, and educating Han Lao Mo made him feel refreshed. Brother Luo also wants to build a foundation, so if you were to choose, which one would you like to participate in? Han Li couldn't make up his mind. The Blood Forbidden Land was extremely dangerous, and he absolutely didn't want to go there, but he didn't have confidence in the competition. After all, so far he had only killed Master Jin Guang in a sneak attack, and killed 2 casual cultivators with a flying sword talisman. The competition is a direct confrontation, and it is impossible to waste the talismans used to save lives. The secret techniques and martial arts learned in the mortal world are probably not enough. Junior brother Han, you have a 4th grade spiritual root, right? Luo Hong raised his head and took a sip of wine and suddenly changed the subject. That's right junior brother, I lack gold in the 5 element. Han Li was a little puzzled as to why Luo Hong suddenly answered the question. I also have a 4th grade spiritual root like junior brother, but I lack wood in the 5 element. Junior brother Han, do you know why the immortal cultivation world dislikes us immortal cultivators with 4th grade spiritual roots so much, and even calls our spiritual roots pseudo-spiritual roots? Luo Hong pretended to be melancholy. Please teach me, senior brother. Han Li had just learned about his spiritual root qualifications not long ago, and he was still unclear about the ins and outs of it. At the same time, he was also surprised by Luo Hong's spiritual root qualifications, and inexplicably felt a sense of sympathy in his heart. The slow speed of cultivation is only secondary. The real key lies in the success rate of foundation building. After taking the foundation building pill, taking one foundation building pill will make our success rate of foundation building very low. So if you are the one to choose all. We must go to the blood forbidden land and participate in the competition. Luo Hong said these words to Han Li. For him, as long as the Danshan is completed, foundation building is not a problem at all. One foundation building pill is enough. Because the spiritual root qualification only affects the purity of mana. As long as the Danshan is large enough, the requirements for the purity of mana will be reduced accordingly. Compared with greatly purifying mana, Luo Hong thinks that another inconspicuous effect of the foundation building pill is the key to why the foundation building pill is the foundation building pill. Hair removal and marrow washing? It must not be that simple. Junior brother Han, there are still more than 2 years before the next opening of the blood forbidden land. We should not only focus on hard training, but also start preparing now. Hard training? Han Li glanced at the jade dragon god in Luo Hong's hand, thinking that every time he saw you, you were drinking and having fun. How could you look like you were practicing hard? When will the big competition start? Han Li didn't dare to listen to Luo Hong's one-sided words. If possible, he wanted to take a foundation building pill to confirm it. The big competition has just ended, but the small competition will start in a few days. What is the small competition? Han Li wondered why there were so many tricks in Huangfeng Valley. If it weren't for brother Luo's guidance, he didn't know how many opportunities he would have missed. The small competition is held every year. The purpose is to let the key refining disciples recognize their own strength, so as to avoid too many people participating in the big competition and delaying the time. Brother, I have signed up for this small competition. I heard that the reward for the first place is 3 bottles of Huanglang pills. His 3 bottles of Huanglang pills. Han Li took a breath. Luo Hong's mouth twitched slightly. Han Leomo's acting skills are too good. I'm afraid the Huanglang pills in your storage bag have piled up into a small mountain. Yes, this reward is tempting, isn't it? Junior brother Han, do you want to sign up as well? Junior brother, your cultivation is shallow, so it's embarrassing not to go on stage, but I will definitely be there to watch the battle and support you. Han Li mainly wanted to gain some experience in fighting with immortal cultivators, and support was just a side effect. After coming out of the Baikao garden, Luo Hong breathed a sigh of relief, lamenting that he was lucky to dress early, and when he met Han Leomo, he was still a blank slate, and he achieved all his goals with just a few words. On the way back to Fanghua Garden, Luo Hong muttered to himself, summarizing the gains of this trip, as long as I show extraordinary magic skills in the small competition, I can replace Wu Feng in the original book as Han Leomo's magic teacher. Then Han Leomo will come to him every day, instead of him sticking to Han Leomo's cold butt every day. The purpose of making friends is achieved. Moreover, after getting the recipe of the Hiki pill, Han Leomo will definitely start refining with all his strength. Even if he has the help of the Palm of Heaven bottle, he will need a lot of spirit stones to rent the Earth Fire room. At that time, it will be natural to sell some inconspicuous Huanglang pills and Jinsu pills in batches. I only need to launch a spirit stone offensive to solve the shortage of pills for practicing to the great perfection of key refining. Because of my special practice method, the problem of drug resistance is still far from me. Why do immortal cultivators develop drug resistance? The fundamental reason is that when ordinary immortal cultivators refine the drug power, only about 30% is refined into magic power, and most of the remaining 70% is absorbed by flesh and blood. Over time, flesh and blood filled with the same medicinal power will naturally reject this kind of elixir more and more. Under the spiritual pressure method, the medicinal power is all restrained in the meridians, and the flesh and blood can only absorb the little that is released when taking it. So if Luo Hong wants to develop drug resistance, theoretically he has to eat more than 10 or 20 times more Huanglang pills than Han Leomo. After dealing with Han Li, Luo Hong turned his attention back to himself. In order to get the foundation pill and practice after the foundation, Luo Hong must go to the blood forbidden land, and he must also help Li Huoyuan win the bet, so that he can make that excessive request to Li Huoyuan after the foundation is built. Therefore, improving combat power has become a top priority. The combat power of immortal cultivators is divided into many parts, and the most common ones are magic tools, talismans, spells, spirit beasts, and secret arts. Among them, the most influential one is undoubtedly the magic tool. Owning a top-level magic tool can immediately increase the combat power of the immortal cultivator in the key refining stage. However, specializing in magic tools also has obvious disadvantages. The first is undoubtedly the cost of spiritual stones, which Luo Hong can ignore, and the second is that it is easy to be targeted. The restraint between magic weapons is secondary. The main thing is that a truly powerful opponent will have one or two means to target magic weapons. After all, as long as you control or damage the enemy's magic weapon, you can basically determine the victory of the battle. Among the means that Luo Hong knows, the recent one is Duo Baonu's King Ningjing, and the more distant ones are the evil arts practiced by the magic monks to pollute people's magic weapons. Among them, the protective blood mist of Wang Chan, the young master of the ghost spirit sect, impressed Luo Hong the most. The battle with the magic monks is in the near future, so apart from the magic weapons, Luo Hong needs other means. Han Leo Mo is done, Xiao Bi shows up, and then he will come out of the blood forbidden land. The protagonist will go to the dungeon immediately. Chapter 45, Jade Talisman Visualization Method. Talisman making is Luo Hong's specialty, but the number of silver runes involved in the primary and higher level spells is too large and more profound, so he cannot comprehend it in the short term. Among the remaining spells, spirit beasts and secret arts, the spirit beast has the young eggs of the dance spider, which also cannot improve Luo Hong's combat power in the short term. Secret arts are in a very awkward situation. Although he has never really reversed the secret pattern of the spirit dragon, Luo Hong knows how high the energy density of the thing in his dungeon is. After raising it for nearly a month, the volume has basically not increased. Unless it is a real life and death crisis, Luo Hong will never be willing to use it. It is impossible to use the trump card every time fighting. What Luo Hong needs is a means to improve conventional combat power. Spells have become the last choice. On the other side of the practice of spells, Luo Hong's spiritual consciousness is twice that of ordinary key refining immortals, because of the fusion of souls and the gains from enlightenment during the crossing, so he has a great advantage when using some spells that require high mana control, which allows him to learn the primary and intermediate spiritual arts, the small rain cloud technique within a year. On the contrary, due to Luo Hong's big Danshan plan, he intentionally controlled the purity of his mana, resulting in his spell power being nearly 50% lower than that of the cultivators of the same level of second grade spiritual roots. Fortunately, there are many external forces that can be used to enhance the power of spells. First, the spiritual properties of the surrounding environment. When casting water spells, the higher the concentration of water spiritual energy around, the greater the power of the spell, which can generally be increased by 30% to 50%. Second, the 5 element of life and death. Water is the foundation of Luo Hong's cultivation, so gold is the best auxiliary. Water sinks but does not condense, but as long as gold is added, it can form a whole, and the power of gold and water is doubled. Third, special physique. This is the external force that has the greatest impact on the enhancement of spell power. Even if Li Huoyuan, who has the body of 3 suns, is at the same level of ki refining as Luo Hong, the power of the small fireball he throws is about twice that of Luo Hong. And as the cultivation level increases, this gap will continue to widen. The difference is that Luo Hong conjured up ordinary spiritual fire, while Li Huoyuan conjured up the more powerful 3 yang fire. Physical factors are the least likely to change, but it also means that they are the most likely to be eliminated. The first and second points will be consciously used, as long as there is a little experience in fighting, or with the advice of the elders. Therefore, the key to really widen the gap with other immortal cultivators is still those enviable Dharma bodies. They are all carbon-based creatures, and they are all life forms composed of flesh and blood. Why are some lucky ones so special? Luo Hong couldn't explain this before. Until a few days ago, he got the green water pearl. Among the top level magic tools, the auxiliary green water pearl is at the bottom, because it can only amplify the power of spells. Originally, Luo Hong thought that the green water crocodile spirit in the green water pearl was amplifying his spells after he cast a spell. However, he was completely wrong. When Luo Hong offered the jade water pearl, the spirit of the jade water crocodile appeared directly in his Nuan palace. This was certainly not a possession. The refined jade water crocodile spirit was completely unconscious and just lay obediently beside Luo Hong's soul light ball. Luo Hong had absolute control over it. At first, Luo Hong just felt that he was ignorant. After being surprised, he didn't care and performed a water bullet technique to try the specific degree of increase. Unexpectedly, at the moment when the magic power flowed through the meridians, 3 incomplete silver runes that had never existed before appeared, causing the water bullet condensed by Luo Hong to change. So this is what the power of that trace of 1 yuan heavy water means. Feeling the water bullet that was much heavier than the previous one, Luo Hong fell into deep thought. 1 yuan heavy water is a rare spiritual object, mostly used in water magic weapons refined by immortal cultivators in the Giant stage, and its value is basically equivalent to water spirit. However, the former is heavy. The same volume of 1 yuan heavy water is 10 times heavier than an iron block. The latter is extremely spiritual and increases the upper limit of the magic power of the magic weapon. Although both increase power, they focus on different things. After trying it, the effect of the green water bead is very obvious. It will increase the weight of the spiritual water that Luo Hong has transformed, and then increase the power of the spell by about 50%, which is more effective for defensive spells. However, these are secondary. What Luo Hong is really concerned about now is why the incomplete silver runes temporarily appear in his meridians. The only external cause is the spirit of the green water crocodile, and the answer must be there. Luo Hong then conducted a comprehensive study on it with unprecedented concentration, and soon found the 3 incomplete silver runes inside the spirit of the green water crocodile. The form of their existence is very familiar, just like the original silver runes in Luo Hong's soul. This discovery made Luo Hong slap his forehead and shouted that he was negligent. The first 6 silver runes were obtained by Luo Hong after his sudden enlightenment. He originally thought that they were gifts from the Heavenly Dao, but he had already figured it out before. The Heavenly Dao would never be so kind to cultivators, but the silver runes were indeed good things that pointed directly to the truth. This means that the 6 silver runes engraved on Luo Hong's soul were the inevitable product of certain conditions being met during his sudden enlightenment. What happened during his sudden enlightenment? What did the green water crocodile do? Considering the 2 questions together, Luo Hong came to the conclusion. Time. When casting spells normally, the silver runes flashed by, but during the sudden enlightenment, the silver runes were always in an excited state, which was equivalent to extending the contact time between the divine consciousness and the excited silver runes countless times. However, monsters basically have no intelligence before level 5, especially monsters as ferocious as the green water crocodile, which act completely on instinct. The only thing worth praising about them is their long life. Therefore, the final conclusion is, if the divine consciousness contacts the excited silver rune for a long time, the corresponding silver rune can be engraved, and the silver rune stored in the divine consciousness can be temporarily added to the meridians. This phenomenon is definitely not the first time that Luo Hong has discovered it, because no matter which cultivation faction, Taoism, Demonism, Buddhism, Confucianism, etc., you can find a secret technique category, visualization method. In this way, the absolute idealistic phenomenon that staring at a picture or statue for decades can gain various magical powers has a reasonable explanation. The special physique of the lucky cultivators is also clear. They must have more silver runes in their meridians than ordinary people. This may be due to atavism, intergenerational inheritance, and human demon sadomasochism. At present, through this phenomenon, Luo Hong has found a way to make his combat power soar. First, complete the 3 incomplete silver runes. since Luo Hong has accumulated a lot of experience in completing the silver runes on the 4th level dragon bone by exhaustive method before. He completed this work a few days ago. Then, using the method of refining the secret pattern of the spirit dragon, he constructed a water bullet circuit containing the 3 silver runes on the Jade Talisman board. Of course, this time Luo Hong used the material with the lowest power. After all, he only needed to keep the silver rune in an excited state. Finally, as long as he ignored the water ball that was forming at a very slow speed on the Jade Talisman board, he could keep in touch with the 3 silver runes with his spiritual consciousness. This is Luo Hong's Jade Talisman visualization method. Compared with other cultivators who use the classical visualization method, the progress is no less than jumping from passive evolution to active evolution. The passive evolution of organisms takes tens of thousands of years, while active evolution only requires a shot of gene enhancer and can be done in a few days at most. Therefore, Luo Hong completed the soul imprinting of the 3 silver runes 2 days before the start of the small competition. After the success, Luo Hong was completely obsessed with it, and regardless of the agreement with Han Lao Mo, he made a Jade Talisman with the secret pattern of the spirit dragon in the same way. However, when the first dragon bone silver rune was engraved into Luo Hong's soul, his Niwen palace shook violently, and then he vomited a large mouthful of blood and fainted. Everyone, please vote for the protagonist. Chapter 46 Luo Hong teaches you how to efficiently stack shields. After an unknown amount of time, Luo Hong slowly woke up amidst the different cries. The occasional stabbing pain in his head made him gasp. After taking a healing pill and adjusting his breath for a while, Luo Hong felt better. I was really careless this time. If it weren't for the fact that my soul strength far exceeds that of ordinary people, I would have suffered a lot this time. Too greedy. I still haven't fully understood the true meaning of the Gaozi's engine. I can't use myself as an experiment anymore. Find a chance to catch an evil cultivator. Wouldn't it be too cruel? However, this also proves that the soul has a limit to the silver rune. Luo Hong didn't expect that a silver rune on a 4th level dragon bone would bring such a heavy burden to the soul, far beyond expectations. After admonishing himself, Luo Hong walked out of the spirit gathering array and summoned Zuo Lao to ask about the time. Today is the day when the small competition begins, so he can only bite the bullet. Young master, are you really okay? Zuo Lao looked worried. Because the wine Luo Hong brewed in his first year tasted terrible, he didn't realize it. He listened to Liu Jing's words and went to honor Li Huoyan, but was scolded. So he invited a wine master from the mortal world to help him brew wine. This wine master is Zuo Lao. To this day, he not only stays in Fanghua Garden every day and never misses his home, but also regards Luo Hong as his destined nobleman. It's okay, there are just some problems in cultivation. Luo Hong waved his hand and offered the King Wang sword to leave. Zuo Lao secretly complained, young master's cultivation is too frequent. The annual small competition of Huangfeng Valley is held on a flat-topped mountain where the new disciples live. The reason is very simple. Those who are truly confident that they can win in the big competition will not come to participate in the small competition to avoid being peeped at by others. Therefore, most of the time, the small competition is a competition between new disciples, unless some disciples want to take the opportunity to fight privately. When Luo Hong arrived at Pingdingshan on his sword, there were already figures tumbling on the 10 stages covered by the protective formation. Fortunately, Luo Hong's number plate was at the back, otherwise he would have been disqualified for being late. There were many disciples watching, so Luo Hong started from a remote corner and soon found Han Lao Mo, who was watching the fight seriously. Luo Hong landed directly beside him. Just as he was about to say hello to Han Lao Mo, he saw his face suddenly change, and then he took a step back and put his hand on the storage bag. What's going on? Is there a monster behind me? Exclamation mark. Luo Hong was stunned. Brother Luo, why does your soul look unstable? Harley stared at Luo Hong's every move nervously, and his eyes stayed on the spiritual water amulet on his shoulder for a while. If Brother Luo attacks me, I must immediately sacrifice the talisman. Other means of attack cannot instantly break through the defense of the spiritual water amulet. It's no wonder Han Li was so nervous. Luo Hong's unstable spirit looked too much like someone who had been possessed by someone else. Han Li was very averse to possession. Don't worry, junior brother Han. I was just too eager for quick success when practicing the secret method. It's okay. Luo Hong explained half truthfully. What a coincidence. Junior brother, I have a set of acupuncture methods to calm the mind and nourish the soul. It may be helpful to you. Han Li seemed to relax, but he was actually ready to perform the Loan step at any time. Then please give me acupuncture quickly, junior brother Han. I'm worried that the problem of my spirit will affect my performance in the competition. Luo Hong generously exposed his back and sat down to show his sincerity. After a while, Han Li finished acupuncture for Luo Hong. Luo Hong immediately felt that the injury of his spirit had healed by more than half. The interval between the stinging pain was not only greatly delayed, but also the pain was much relieved. Han Li also ruled out the possibility of Luo Hong being possessed by someone else during the acupuncture process and handed over a healing pill with a little shame. Brother Luo, you'd better drink less wine since you're injured. Brother Han, you don't understand. If I don't drink this wine for one day, I'll die. Unfortunately, Han Li just took Luo Hong's truth as a joke. Not long after, the senior in the foundation building stage who presided over the small competition called Luo Hong's number. Brother Han, let me show you my skills. Han Li nodded slightly. He also wanted to know the true strength of brother Luo, who had a similar cultivation level and the same qualifications as him. After going on stage, Luo Hong glanced at his opponent. Although he was wearing the same clothes, the strong martial arts aura on the opponent made Luo Hong know how to fight immediately. Do you two know the rules of the small competition? Disciple knows. Disciple knows. The rules of the small competition are the same as the big competition. It is forbidden to use talismans and disposable consumables. It is forbidden to take pills that temporarily enhance strength. And it is forbidden to cause the opponent to be disabled or take someone's life. After all, the small competition is a rehearsal for the big competition, and the purpose of the big competition is to select the user of the foundation building pill. If the magic weapon is not banned, it is just because they are afraid that it will be impossible to fight. The battle inside the Yellow Maple Valley was much less intense than the Ascension Conference, but Luo Hong still used the Spirit Turtle Shield at the beginning, and put on a Spirit Water Shield on himself, which was placed outside the Spirit Turtle Shield. Good habits must be developed from daily life. As expected, the Jianghu cultivator on the opposite side directly held a red longsword and stepped on the light skill to kill Luo Hong. The spiritual energy on the red longsword was not very strong. At best it was a high-level magic weapon. Luo Hong ignored it and put on a Vajra technique, which greatly improved his defense again. At this time, the Jianghu disciple approached and came up with a left straight chop, right chop, and left sharp stab combo, which was completely blocked by Luo Hong's thick shield. When Luo Hong counterattacked, he flicked the middle fingers of both hands, and water bullets flew out one after another. After a series of explosions, the Jianghu disciple was just a little out of breath from dancing with the sword, but his body was unscathed. In the subsequent sword strikes, the Jianghu key disciple clearly felt that the opponent's shield had become more resilient. He might not know that this was the reason why the scattered water bullets temporarily changed the concentration of the surrounding water spirit. Realizing that conventional means could not break through Luo Hong's iron wall, the Jianghu key disciple retreated and prepared to perform powerful sword moves. Luo Hong was not in a hurry to interrupt the opponent's accumulation of power. The spells between his hands changed rapidly and finally condensed into a ball of spirit balls and was thrown into the sky by him. In an instant, white clouds rolled and spiritual rain filled with water spirit fell. It was not until then that Luo Hong really attacked. His hands pinched the spells again, and he actually performed two elementary and intermediate water snake techniques at the same time. The Jianghu key disciple was obviously practicing the fire-based skills, and the killing moves he prepared were naturally fire-based. They were greatly restrained in the dense water spirit environment created by the small rain cloud technique. On the other hand, the two water snakes that Luo Hong used his magic power to transform were a circle larger than normal. After the collision, the winner was immediately determined. The Jianghuqi disciple simply admitted defeat under the entanglement of the water snake. In the following fights, Luo Hong easily won with the same routine. As long as the opponent could not break his defense for a while, he would suppress him with a small rain cloud spell and serve a set of water spells. Harley nodded repeatedly, watching from the sidelines. When encountering an enemy, you must stack shields. I learned it, Brother Luo. Chapter 47, Dark King's Birth. There were not many disciples participating in the small competition. In the evening, Luo Hong had the final match. This time, his opponent was an unexpected person. Junior Brother Luo, I have heard of your great name for a long time. I have only heard that you are quite talented in spiritual plants. I didn't expect that you are also proficient in magic. If it weren't for me, you would have won the first place in the small competition today. The man who spoke was only 20 years old, handsome and tall, with a look of confidence and contempt for others. In addition, there was a rare wind spirit surrounding him, so it was difficult for Luo Hong not to recognize him. Because it was the final match, there were many disciples watching the game off the field, and the protective formation did not isolate the sound. Senior Brother Lu's words made most of the disciples recognize Luo Hong's identity. So it's Senior Brother Luo from Fanghua Garden. I have been hearing about him recently, but today is the first time I have seen him in person. Senior Brother Luo is so handsome. Senior Brother Luo, I have a big business and want to discuss it with you in detail. Listening to the discussions of many fellow disciples, Hanley appeared calm on the surface, but was actually surprised in his heart. Senior Brother Luo is so famous. Could he be the top one among the key refining disciples in the sect? Just as he was wondering, Hanley's ears moved slightly, and he heard the private conversation of two female disciples nearby. Senior sister, although Senior Brother Luo is fair-skinned, he is really plain looking. How can you say he is handsome? What do you know, girl? What's the use of just being good looking? The Fanghua Garden managed by Senior Brother Luo can bring him more than 3,000 kilograms of spiritual grains every year. That's more than 300 spiritual stones every year. Junior sister, I took a closer look. Senior Brother Luo is really handsome. Hanley was stunned for a moment. He originally thought that all disciples of big sects were as generous as Senior Brother Luo. Now he knows that Senior Brother Luo is an exception among exceptions. In the fighting arena, Luo Hong had a complicated expression. He had expected this scene today, but it happened a little faster than expected. After all, the benefits of Fanghua Garden were too great, and it was managed by a key refining disciple, which would inevitably arouse envy. Even though he was a fellow Taoist of the cautious Dao, Luo Hong could not completely imitate Han Lao Mo, because he did not have the heavenly bottle, and could not stay in the medicine garden for years. On the contrary, for various researches, Luo Hong used spirit stones much more frequently than ordinary key refining cultivators. He could not go to the market in disguise every time. If he did so many times, he would definitely be discovered. Besides, there were not so many opportunities to go to the market. So after careful consideration, Luo Hong decided to get rich by farming. Anyway, no one would keep accounts for him. He could spend thousands of spirit stones with more than 300 spirit stones per year. As for the negative effects caused by doing so, Luo Hong had already prepared countermeasures. He studied the brewing of spirit wine and refined the secret patterns on the Jade Dragon Gourd. They were not whimsical. The purpose was to obtain spirit wine that could impress the giant and cultivators. As long as he could get the support of Li Huoyuan, he would not have to be too restrained in the Yellow Maple Valley. This is the same reason why Han Lao Mo gave up hiding his strength and biding his time during the invasion of the demons, after becoming Li Huoyuan's official disciple, and killed many demon cultivators in exchange for the ancient elixir formula. One is because there is a need, and the other is because the strength allows it. There is news from Zhangwei Niang that there will be an opportunity to meet Li Huoyuan in half a month, and all problems will be solved at that time. But before that, I have to get rid of this Senior Brother Lu who was pushed out as a pawn. It's just right. Use him to try out my new tricks. The world of cultivating immortals respects strength. If Luo Hong wants to live a stable life in the next half-month window period, he must kill Senior Brother Lu, the monkey. Junior brother Luo, I don't think there is anything to compare. It's better for you to admit defeat early, so that I won't be able to stop and hurt you. Senior brother Luo offered the green dragon flag and smiled crookedly. Thank you for your concern, Senior brother Luo. It will really give you a headache to win against you. Luo Hong retorted, offered the green water pearl, and began to put on the shield. In his soul, 3 newly engraved silver runes shone brightly, and the spherical water shield that Luo Hong conjured up changed from the usual light blue to light cyan. The mana consumption is more than 3 times that of normal casting, but the weight of the spiritual water conjured up has increased by about 5 times. Compared with its amplified power, this consumption is absolutely worth it. Seeing the actual effect of the new method, Luo Hong became more confident. No matter what kind of monster you are, you must break my absolute defense first. Humph. You won't cry until you see the coffin. Senior brother Luo opened his hands, and 2 cyan arc wind blades immediately took shape. Take my cyan arc slash. 2 cyan arcs attacked from both sides, and Luo Hong did not even look at them, and performed the Vajra technique as usual. After 2 bang bang sounds, the 2 cyan arcs slashed on Luo Hong's golden cyan water shield, causing only a few ripples, which seemed to be unable to shake at all. Brother Luo's magic is a bit weak. Luo Hong wanted to test the defensive power of the golden green water shield, so he was not in a hurry to fight back. It's just relying on top level magic weapons. Let me show you how powerful my green dragon flag is. Brother Luo's magic power poured into the green dragon flag above his head frantically, and then more than 10 green wind blades whistled out at an incredibly fast speed, and arrived in front of Luo Hong in an instant. However, this attack was only a quantitative change compared to the previous one, and the power of each wind blade did not increase much. The biggest advantage of the absolute defense designed by Luo Hong is that it can quickly distribute the attack received by a single point to the entire defense system. Only with an absolutely powerful attack that exceeds the upper limit of the entire defense system can it be broken. So Luo Hong didn't feel any pressure at the moment, but instead had the mind to judge his mana consumption. It consumed 120 mana just to cast it, but if it is just to withstand this level of attack, the consumption is only 20 mana per hour, which is completely acceptable. The data has been collected, and it's time to fight back. Luo Hong raised his middle finger, and a dark green water bullet, not even as big as a chicken egg, instantly condensed. With a pop, the dark green water bullet broke through the air, breaking through the wind blade's barrier with unstoppable force, and penetrated senior brother Luo's body, protecting green light, hitting his hair crown under his horrified eyes. This incident stopped senior brother Luo's offensive, and soon he blushed, because of the whispers of his fellow disciples off the field. You are sneaking up on me. Luo Hong just smiled, and didn't bother to pay attention to him. He had just performed the water bullet technique, but after integrating some of the power of the one element heavy water, the water bullet technique broke through the original mana carrying constraints, and with the increase in its own power base, it directly reached the level of elementary mid-level spells. Not only is it extremely penetrating, but Luo Hong can also use it instantly like using elementary low-level spells. This attack method, named Dark Green by Luo Hong, can be said to be the biggest gain from the first practice of the Jade Talisman visualization method. Chapter 48. Go straight to the pure lotus pill. Brother Luo, you came prepared. It's no wonder that senior brother Luo has come. The green dragon has appeared. Senior brother Luo made a desperate move and sent 30% of his own mana into the green dragon flag in one breath. The green dragon flag shone with green light and instantly transformed into a 10-foot long green dragon, bearing its fangs and claws, which was extremely terrifying. According to the small competition, senior brother Luo had already lost just now, but the referee, the foundation building senior, just pretended not to see it, which was enough to prove that Luo Hong's previous worries were not groundless. Originally, Luo Hong could have defeated senior brother Luo by firing dark green suns while he was accumulating power, but considering that the deterrent effect of doing so was not strong, he allowed him to release his ultimate move. However, Luo Hong was not going to resist this time. The green dragon flag's ability to transform comes from the green dragon spirit sealed in the flag. His green water pearl was of a lower quality, but it had the same effect. Then, Luo Hong merged the jade water beads on his head into the water shield around him, and his magic power surged. In an instant, a golden green giant crocodile about 3 meters long duck shape. Go. The giant crocodile swung its tail and flew towards the giant dragon pressing down from above. The two collided, and what was unexpected was that the giant dragon, which was much larger than the giant crocodile, was hit into a sky full of blue light. The giant crocodile was full of momentum and pushed the stunned senior brother Luo off the stage. Senior brother Luo. Immediately, a young woman ran over, helped senior brother Luo who was vomiting blood, and fed him healing pills with a concerned face. Boy, we are competing with our fellow disciples. Did you hit too hard? The foundation building senior who was the referee said coldly. It's just half a rib that was broken. If my ancestor knew that his family was bullied like this and didn't fight back, I would be scolded again. Haha, I declare that the winner of this small competition is Luo Hong. Thank you senior. Luo Hong received 3 bottles of Huang Lang Dan, and in order to avoid being entangled by his fellow disciples, he flew back to Fanghua Garden directly. Not long after resting, Han Li came to ask for advice on magic as he expected. Luo Hong naturally told him everything he knew and taught him his years of experience in magic cultivation and focused on the key condensation technique that he recommended to Han Lao. In this way, Han Li would come to ask for advice every few days, and time soon came to half a month later. Please inform the senior sisters that Luo Hong, a disciple of Huangfeng Valley, wants to see Yu Ruoxi, a disciple of Elder Chiksha. Luo Hong respectfully bowed to a disciple of Yanyu sect in front of him and said in a gentle voice, Master Yu is a senior in the foundation establishment stage. Why are you, a key refining stage disciple, looking for her? Are you trying to make fun of us sisters? This junior brother is fair and tender, but not very handsome. Otherwise, I wouldn't mind making friends with you. The female disciples guarding the mountain gate were quite bold and teased Luo Hong in public. Ahem. Senior sisters, I do have something important to do with senior Yu. Just tell her the 3 words ancient pill recipe and she will come to see me. It's no empty talk. Luo Hong took 2 steps back, tightened her robe, and requested again. Okay, I'll go in and report. You wait here. Seeing Luo Hong's serious expression, the gatekeepers did not dare to neglect her and immediately sent someone to Yu Ruox's cave. While waiting, Luo Hong couldn't help but think of the scene when she met Li Huoyuan that day. It was a coincidence that when Luo Hong paid her respects, Master Lei was drinking and chatting with Li Huoyuan. They were drinking the castrated version of Yulang wine. Luo Hong had only given this wine to Yan Xiuming and Zhang Weiniang, and the latter had already drunk up her share. It was even more impossible for her to give Liu Jing's share to Li Huoyuan. The only possibility was that Master Lei got Yan Xiuming's share. But judging from the situation on that day, Yan Xiuming would never sell this wine. Thinking of this, Luo Hong felt a little cold in his heart. Yan Xiuming was probably in danger, and the murderer was most likely Yan Xiaoyi. If that was the case, Yan Xiaoyi was too patient. Anyway, Luo Hong didn't detect any murderous intent from him that day, and he thought that he had accepted his fate. After silently recording Yan Xiaoyi on the list of fear, Luo Hong presented a jar of incomplete version of Yulang wine that was twice as good as the castrated version of Yulang wine. Li Huoyuan and Master Lei were immediately shocked. After learning that Luo Hong used 400-year-old wine fruit to brew it, they reluctantly accepted it. After all, the spiritual energy contained in this incomplete version of Jade Dragon wine is equivalent to a pill with a medicinal power of 6,000, which is 10 times that of the Gathering Key pill. Even if a cultivator in the Giant stage drinks it, it can increase his cultivation a little. Li Huoyuan did not ask Luo Hong such a stupid question as is there any more. He knew how much spiritual grain to brew how much spiritual wine, and what kind of spiritual medicine to brew what kind of spiritual wine. According to his understanding, Luo Hong had to spend at least half of the annual income from Fanghua Garden to refine this jar of spiritual wine. In great joy, Li Huoyuan not only gave Luo Hong a talisman containing his divine thoughts, but also accepted him as a registered disciple on the spot. Afterwards, Luo Hong, who could not bear to stop at cultivation, flew all the way to the gate of Yanyu sect. My junior brother, Master, you agreed to see you. You are so lucky. Take this token and follow me. The gatekeeper who had gone in to report earlier held a sound transmission talisman and handed Luo Hong a white jade waist badge. Thank you, senior sister. Afterwards, Luo Hong was taken to an elegantly decorated courtyard, which seemed to be a place specially used for meeting guests. After drinking a cup of fragrant tea, a female cultivator in white with a veil came in, and the fragrance overwhelmed the tea aroma. It's you. When Yu Ruoxi saw Luo Hong, she recognized him as the key refining disciple who sat next to Liu Jing on the day of the trade fair. Hello, Senior Yu. I wonder if your pure lotus pill formula has been traded? Luo Hong was not polite. This woman was very good at seducing. If the transaction was not completed quickly, she might fall into her trap without knowing it. Take it out. Since you came to me, you naturally have something prepared. Yu Ruoxi spread her hands, and her eyes could not hide her joy. Luo Hong immediately took out the jade box containing the righteous lotus, opened the soul sealing talisman, and opened the lid of the box to show it to Yu Ruoxi. 600 years of righteous lotus. Good. Give it to me. Yu Ruoxi reached out with her hands, but was dodged by Luo Hong, who was already prepared. What do you mean, Junior? Are you afraid that I won't keep my promise? Yu Ruoxi said angrily. That's not what I meant. I just have some opinions about the content of the transaction. I don't want the ancient recipe. I just want to exchange 5 finished pure lotus pills with you. What's the use of Luo Hong getting the recipe? Is he going to trick Han Lao Mo into giving him a righteous lotus that's over 500 years old? With Han Lao Mo's caution, this is definitely harder than going on stage, so Luo Hong asked for the pure lotus pill directly. Yu Ruoxi was slightly stunned, then looked at the white and tender skin on Luo Hong's open chest, and couldn't help but chuckle. You are a man, but you also learn from girls to practice the ice skin and jade bone method. Isn't that shameful? Luo Hong felt helpless. Why wasn't this man as cold as he imagined? Humph. So much talk. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 49. I don't believe it either. I don't need to worry about what kind of skills I practice. Please get back to the point. Do you agree with my conditions? Luo Hong knew before coming that he could not hide the fact that he practiced the ice skin and jade bone method from Yu Ruoxi, but he misjudged her character. Luo Hong did not want to get entangled with Yu Ruoxi about this matter, so he asked in a slightly stiff tone. Of course I don't agree. Yu Ruoxi waved her hand, and nearly 20 jade boxes appeared on the table beside her. These are all kinds of medicinal herbs and spiritual objects needed to refine the pure lotus pill. It took me a whole 60 years to collect them. You kid only provided a righteous lotus, but you wanted to swallow half of the refined pill. I will never agree to it. Senior, what you said makes sense. This transaction is indeed a disadvantage for you, but I insist on doing so. Otherwise, I'm afraid that you will not have the chance to get this righteous lotus. Luo Hong put the jade box containing the righteous lotus back into the storage bag and said with a firm look in his eyes, HMPH, you are such an ungrateful kid. I will give you at most 1 pure lotus pill. Yu Ruoxi turned her back and acted as if she wanted it or not. 5, not 1 less. Luo Hong refused to give in. Boy, do you think you are in your yellow Maple Valley? Who do you think you are talking to? Yu Ruoxi turned around abruptly, and the powerful manner of the late stage of foundation building pressed down on Luo Hong. Sure enough, if they couldn't reach an agreement, they would force the sale. This was a common tactic used by high-level cultivators against low-level cultivators. Yu Ruoxi was already kind. At least she took a step back. If Luo Hong bargained with her, it was not impossible to raise the price to 3 pure lotus pills. In most cases, it was just a matter of killing him with 1 strike. However, the 5 pure lotus pills Luo Hong wanted were his bottom price. If he asked for less, he would not be able to break through the 6th level of the ice skin and jade bone method. With great difficulty bearing the pressure, Luo Hong pointed at the talisman attached to his left shoulder and sent a trace of mana to activate it. Suddenly, a powerful divine thought that made people's backs shiver descended, and the strong aura of a giant unstage cultivator enveloped the entire courtyard. How can you have a divine thought talisman of a giant unstage cultivator, kid? Uruaxi immediately restrained her breath and asked in surprise. Once the divine thought talisman is activated, anything that happens around will be known to the owner of the divine thought afterwards. Even if the talisman is destroyed, it is useless, because it is equivalent to sending a message back in advance. I'm not talented, but I was accepted as a registered disciple by my master Li Huoyuan the day before yesterday. In order to trade with the senior, the junior specially asked for this talisman, and the master also told the junior to say hello to the fairy Chiksha. Luo Hong said neither servile nor arrogant. With this talisman as a support, Uruaxi would never dare to mess around again. Why do giant unstage cultivators accept disciples? One is to train post-foundation disciples who have the opportunity to form a dan for the sect. Another is to let the disciples do things for him. If the disciples not only fail to share his worries, but also provoke other cultivators of the same level for no reason, they will definitely be severely punished. The Pure Lotus Pill is only useful when practicing the 6th level of the Ice Skin and Jade Bone method. With your current cultivation level, you should only need 2 pills at most to break through the 6th level. By then, your chances of successfully forming a pill will be much higher. There is really no need to entangle with the juniors for a few unnecessary Pure Lotus pills. Luo Hong threw out his last means of persuasion and took the risk to reveal the secret of this woman. Uruax's heart trembled. This kid actually knew the secret of the Ice Skin and Jade Bone method. No wonder he was so obsessed with a method that only female cultivators could practice. However, how did he see through my progress in practicing the Ice Skin and Jade Bone method? Was it just because of the few glances he took at my neck just now? If so, this kid probably knows more about this secret method than I do. Just for this reason, I should cooperate with him. Although her real purpose of refining the Pure Lotus Pill was revealed, Uruaxi didn't care much. She discovered the secret of the Ice Skin and Jade Bone method in an ancient book she found by chance, and others could naturally discover it in a similar way. I'll give you 4 at most. Uruaxi stopped pretending. After saying her final offer, she stretched out her hand to stop Luo Hong, who was about to object, and said, "Listen to me. When refining pills, a spiritual liquid is produced, called Kinlan Fragrant Liquid. If you take a bath with this spiritual liquid, while refining the medicinal power of the Pure Lotus Pill, the medicinal effect of the Pure Lotus Pill will be enhanced. 4 pills are completely equivalent to the original 5 pills. How did you know this, senior?" Luo Hong knew that the other party was unlikely to lie to him, but he still had to ask for safety reasons. After all, he didn't have a second chance. "Where do you think I got the ancient recipe?" The alchemist's ancestor once refined a furnace of Pure Lotus pills. The method I just mentioned is the successful experience of the predecessors. In fact, you don't have to worry at all, because you have to go with me. When the time comes, you can ask the alchemist yourself, and then take out the elixir after confirmation. With such a concession, Uruaxi felt that the matter was settled, so she put away the pile of jade boxes on the table and waited for Luo Hong's consent. "From what you said, the alchemist is not from the Yanyu sect?" Luo Hong seemed to be going on a long journey, and she hesitated. "She is an old friend of mine, the patriarch of a cultivation family, and has lived in Wushan for many years." Uruaxi explained casually. "So it's Wushan. Although I have heard of this mountain, I don't know much about it. Do you know what's special about this place? Or is there any legend?" Zhao Yashu, who sold the 5-element fruit to Luo Hong, lived in Wushan, so Luo Hong looked up some books about Wushan, but he only knew the geography. This mountain is not far from the Yanyu sect. It takes more than 10 days to fly with a sword, and it has not yet left the border of Yu state. Compared with Xiangshan, Wushan is not large in scale, and there are only 6 peaks worth mentioning. Among them, the main peak of Wushan is 1,000 feet high. If it were not for the miasma and weak spiritual energy, it would definitely have been occupied by the Xiuxin sect. The 5 peaks surrounding the main peak are only 100 feet high, with some small spiritual veins, so there is a Zeuxan family on each peak. I think the alchemist clan leader mentioned by Uruaxi belongs to one of them. There are indeed some legends. I heard that in ancient times, Washan was the place where the ancient cultivators sealed monsters. It is said that there was a super forbidden magic circle covering the entire Washan at that time. The ancient cultivators sealed those difficult to kill monsters in it to prevent them from causing harm to the world. However, that is just a legend. No one will really believe it. After all, the spiritual energy of Washan is too thin. Uruax's red lips under the veil curved slightly, as if laughing at the exaggeration of the legend of Washan. Haha, what you said is right. That junior has an unwelcome request. Luo Hong was a little embarrassed, and bowed. You kid, you are so procrastinating. If you have anything else, tell me all at once. Uruaxi was a little impatient. Can I not go? Luo Hong said very seriously. Chapter 50, The 5 Families of Washan. No. Uruaxi was stunned, then she blurted out in anger. Why? Although I'm new to your sect is worthy of being the #1 sect in your state. Not only is the scenery in the sect like a fairyland, but the female disciples are also outstanding and beautiful. I like them very much, and would like to bother you for a few more days. I hope you will do so. Luo Hong pretended to be a playboy, so that Uruaxi would feel disgusted, and give up the idea of traveling with him. Although it is just a legend, there is really no need to wander around in the ancient place, where monsters are sealed. The cultivators in the key refining stage are too fragile, so it is better to be cautious. Nonsense. The female disciple who came to report before clearly said that you are a dull boy who doesn't understand the affairs of men and women, but now you are acting here. What is your intention? Uruaxi became more and more angry, but because of the divine mind talisman, it was difficult to do it, so she could only bear it. I don't mean anything else. I just want to trouble you to bring back my share. You can give me the elixir now. I'm sure you won't break your promise in front of my master. Luo Hong threw out the jade box containing the lotus of righteousness. This action immediately extinguished Uruax's anger. After all, she had the treasure she had been thinking about for decades. You are really strange, kid. I don't force you to go, but you have to go. The Kinlan fragrance is hard to preserve, so you can only use it now. Now that it's come to this, you should finally go with me obediently. Then I still want 5 pure lotus pills. Luo Hong went back. Why don't you want to go to Washan with me? Uruaxi was really furious, and her bare hands squeezed the jade box to make fine cracks. Senior, why do you have to argue with me about that pure lotus pill? Luo Hong was also depressed. HMPH. You don't need to worry about it. There are only 4 pills anyway. You can come or not. Uruaxi said, and flew into the air, with an attitude that she would not say another word to Luo Hong. The strategy of showing sincerity failed. Luo Hong had no other choice. After closing the divine consciousness talisman, he followed with a worried look on his face. Uruaxi, who was flying in front, sensed Luo Hong's movements with her divine consciousness, and she felt a little happy after winning. After all, I won. 1 righteous lotus is enough to refine 3 furnaces of pure lotus pills. With the ability of the alchemist that Uruaxi entrusted, the possibility of success once in 3 times is very high, but he dare not think about it twice. A furnace of pure lotus pills can generally be divided into 7 to 8 pills. Uruaxi is confident that, as long as it is supplemented with spiritual liquid, 1 pill can break through the 6th level. After deducting Luo Hong's 4 pills, there will be 2 to 3 pills left. In this way, the remaining pure lotus pills can barely allow 1 more person to break through the 6th level, and trading with others will surely be profitable. It's no wonder that Uruaxi is so careful with her calculations. Refining magic weapons after advancing to the Jiandan stage is very costly. Although the Yanyu sect will provide some, she is not a person who is content with mediocrity. She must also prepare as much as she can. 10 days later, Washan, Haotu Peak, the inner hall of the Zhao family clan. Zhao Yushu walked in with a little excitement. Although he was a member of the Zhao family, he had poor spiritual roots and low cultivation. He had always been a nobody in the family. He had never been to the inner hall that only disciples in the late stage of key refining could enter, and he had never met his own clan leader alone. All this made him very excited, and his steps were a little shaky when he walked. Yashu greets the clan leader. In the inner hall, Zao Yashu knelt in front of a seemingly young woman, with a respectful look on his face from the bottom of his heart. Get up. The batch of earth spirit stones you brought back last time helped the family a lot. Today I call you here to reward you. The young woman was the head of the Zao family. She was in the middle stage of foundation building, but there was a hint of fatigue in her voice. Zao Yashu was so happy that he couldn't tell, and he declined without hesitation. It's an honor for Yashu to share the family's worries, and there is no need for the clan leader to reward me. It's an honor, but you can't abolish the reward and punishment system because of this, otherwise the clan will definitely be unstable. This Zenling Ho is a high-level magic weapon. Although it is not suitable for fighting, it is the most suitable for you. The young woman threw a ball of light, and when it came in front of Zao Yashu, it turned into a black hoe with a strong aura. Thank you, clan leader. Yashu will work hard for the Zao family until his death. Zao Yashu was moved and decided to spend 2 more hours every day on cultivating spiritual fruits. Well, go ahead, don't forget the job you promised. The young woman nodded slightly, watched Zao Yashu salute and leave, then put her hand on the incense burner behind her, grabbed a corner, and turned it gently. There was a sound of chains, and a secret door opened on the wall nearby. A family of immortal cultivators actually used the art of the mortal world. Although it was not as safe as the formation, it would not attract attention, because there was no spiritual fluctuation. Behind the secret door was a stone staircase leading underground. The young woman climbed down the stairs and soon came to an underground secret room. Dear clan leaders, have your magic powers been restored? In this secret room, there were 3 immortal cultivators in the early stage of foundation building sitting cross-legged in meditation. Among them, there were 2 men and 1 woman. Judging from their clothes, they were not from the Zao family. With the help of the Lanxiang pills of the Zao clan leader, our magic power has been restored to 50% or 60%. It will be fully restored in a while. Thank you. Qian Qian Bao opened his eyes and thanked him with a trembling mustache. Sister Zao, it's really thanks to you this time. My Sun family will definitely not forget your kindness today. The head of the Sun family was a white-haired old woman, and her expression was quite excited at this time. Grandma Sun, you are too kind. The 5 families of Washan are of the same origin, and should support each other. Today, my Zao family is helping you. Tomorrow, you may have to help the Zao family. The young woman seemed to respect Grandma Sun very much, and her words were sincere, and did not seem to be false. Alas, if the Zao family had not fallen, we would not have to waste our vitality so much. The head of the Li family, wearing a black hunting coat, looked mature and handsome, and said with great regret, there are still 2 members of the Zao family with spiritual roots in this generation. As long as our 4 families help, there is still hope. The young woman's face darkened, and she did not believe what she said. The other 3 people also sighed. They could hardly survive on their own, so how could they manage the Zao family? At this time, a sound transmission talisman flew from an air window to the young woman's hand. Because it was a secret word, the young woman put it on her forehead to check, and then her face suddenly changed. What happened to the head of the Zao family? The 3 people who were meditating looked extremely nervous, fearing that they would hear some bad news. It's not a big deal. It's just that an old friend of mine wants me to make an elixir. He has already arrived at the Zao family. The young woman rubbed her right temple with some worry and replied, Qian Qian Bao, can't it be delayed for a while? The thing we are planning can't wait. I'm afraid it can't be done. The other party is a disciple of the Yanyu sect, and he was already a cultivator in the late stage of foundation building 20 years ago. He should have reached the full elixir realm by now. I promised to make an elixir before, so it's hard to refuse. Forget it, let's meet first, and talk about it. The head of the Li family, oh, you came at a really bad time. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.